carbon and feeds the soul of your soil. Expect incredible blooms and prize-winning veg, all whilst protecting our planet's vital peatlands. Ready to outshine the neighbours?
Yes.
Feed your passion with a professional's choice.
All right.
Visit ecogreencompost.co.uk and grow
Smells
the
like
future
shit, it does.
today.
1, 2, 3. Cluck, cluck. Wake up your mind. Fill up your day. Oink, oink. Smart little bites that brighten your way. You're listening to Food for Thought Radio here at fftradio.com. Food for Thought Radio here at fftradio.com.
That's nice, isn't it?
No, order, sit and leave.
This is the best political satire broadcast in the universe.
Order! I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this.
You are listening to Fockham Hall with Eric von Essex.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting show. Boy, wasn't last night's show quite a show. I think I've had more, our audience has increased by threefold, and I don't think I've had so many people in chat. So that was really quite exciting last night. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And that was with Dom last night. But tonight, we've got an even bigger star on. We've got Paul, or Anorak, our Transport Minister. So, good evening, Paul.
Good evening, Chris. Is somebody else coming on after me then?
Well, and also, if you're in America, it's good morning. So there we are. So it's, and if you're Australia, it's very good morning as well. But or good afternoon if you're in the Midwest. But it's certainly an excellent show last night, and everybody's queuing up in chat, and we've got, who have we got? We've got Matilda. We say good evening. Looking forward to the show. Yes, are we? Pink Planet. Hello, Pink Planet. And Pink Planet, I noticed the Department of Chaos have done a genius job today between Waltham Cross and Waltham Abbey. Yes, they are doing work to the pavement. Okay, and they're replacing a bus shelter and digging a hole. So what they've done, now they remember the word pavement, they've blocked off one, there's a dual carriageway, and they've actually blocked off one of the lanes, which is causing massive chaos, and put some traffic lights there. So isn't that lovely? So there's loads and loads of cars on this steaming hot day, so they go brum, 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 brum. Yes, just, they don't need to block off part of the carriageway because they're working on the pavement. Can you work that one out?
And more importantly, was the bus shelter vandalised and smashed to pieces, or the one that was there before? Was there nothing wrong with? They've just replaced it to spend some council
You
tax?
summed it up correctly. There's nothing wrong with it, and they're just replacing it for the sake of replacing it. And before we came on air, we was talking about bus shelters, and the old ones were made of brick.
We were.
And brick holds heat, and it keeps you cool in the summer. And they replaced them and put these bloody things on, which are about a foot or so off the ground, so that when it's raining or it's cold, they don't sort of protect you from the elements. Bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
Only Wrekin Council. Well, they probably aren't. Probably isn't just Wrekin Council. It's probably all of them. But our council can only do that. I mean, I would like to know the intelligence of the people who work in the council, because the bus stop by me, if I go down to the farm shop, the bus shelter is sat next to a zebra crossing. Now the bus shelter's been there for a lot longer. The bus stop's been there a lot longer than the zebra crossing has been. So obviously you get the zigzags with the pedestrian the zebra crossing. So they've conveniently put the zigzags where the bus stop is. So now the buses can't stop at the bus stop. They have to go down about another 24th.
A
34th.
genius worked that one out.
Only our cat. Oh yeah, yeah. They obviously must have thought. Hang on a second. Ah, yeah. We'll put the
Yeah.
zigzags there, and then the bus can't stop at the bus stop that's designated for it. They're just
Well,
idiots. They
the
haven't
big-
got a brain. Requisition your brain. Yeah,
Well,
they
the
ain't got
big
one.
problem is we've got impractical people telling practical people what to do. And that is the big problem right the way through. When you look at Andy Birnbaum, or whatever his name is, I would say he's just about got the IQ to tie his shoelaces up. He's never done anything practical in his life. But if you put a paintbrush in his hand and said, paint that, he wouldn't have a clue. He just was totally impractical. And there are people that go,
Do you think he'd even know which end of the
he
bush
probably,
to use?
he probably wouldn't. No, it's like there wouldn't be. I mean, there was a structural engineer, and I remember the word structural engineer I worked alongside, who couldn't work out how to fold a piece of paper to make a door wedge in the summer to wedge the bleeding door open. Seriously. Yeah, so, hey, come on. And you go, because his mummy
Well-
and daddy bought him his qualifications.
Well, that's the thing. It's like on the previous place I used to work in the stationery industry, and I worked in customer service there for quite a few years. And we used to have questions like, and I might have said this before, but so we used to sell toner cartridges,
Yeah.
ink cartridges, and we had people call up and say, "I need to order a black and white toner. We just need to order the black. How do I print white? You order some white paper. Is the white paper white on both sides? No, we colour in the other side, so you can't use it. It's just one side. Just make it easy for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
hilarious.
actually do think this requisitioning your brain, their brain has been requisitioned. Do you remember the Dad's Army? And so when Captain Mannering would come along, we're requisitioning this for the government. That's what they used to do in World War II. So they come to the house and say, we're requisitioning one of your rooms to, and they did that a lot of times. But by the way, DJ B2 recommends the Potty song by John Larjoey. Never heard of it. I'll check it out, mate. No, have
No, I
I?
haven't.
Might be a load of crap. You never know. Potty song. We got Blu-ray. Now, Pink Planet says, "Oh, that's good.
evening.
I haven't been out. Laugh out loud. Is that tomorrow as well? I would imagine that will be there throughout the summer holidays. Pink Planet.
How long does it take to replace a bus shelter? I mean, surely they just
Mm.
dig one out. They come
Yeah.
flat packed anyway. It's like something from Argos. Oh, not from Argos, from IKEA. So surely they just put it together and put some tarmac
Well,
around it.
yeah, but
I mean, I'm sure it's more difficult than that.
no,
But
because I went up there the other day.
there.
I went there by car, and I got stuck behind this bleeding great traffic jam, and that was a week ago. And there was nothing there. No work had been done at the bus shelter at all. It was just coned off, and there's nothing there at all being done. But today, when I cycled there, because I knew it was there, they'd actually sort of started digging a trench. They dug a hole also. They've got 2 holes, and they're digging up this bus shelter. Why? I really haven't the foggiest idea. It's just beyond.
It makes you wonder how they justify the council tax, doesn't it? Because it's like in Shrewsbury now, they've by the railway station outside Shrewsbury, they've put in a
Yeah.
cycle lane, and it's a double lane carriageway, so it's the same width as a road. And then what used to be a dual way in, so you had a set of traffic lights, you had straight across to go into town and right to go towards the bus station and so on. Now, because they put this bike lane in which nobody uses and no one's used it in the last 8 months, it now causes a tailback all the way down. And I dinged the bell on the bus to get off there on Saturday, and the driver said, "Oh, I can't let you off here because it's dangerous."
It's
And
health.
I said, "Why?" He said, "Because a bike might go
Yeah.
past." I think, well, no bikes use that cycle lane. And if I do get the cyclist, that's got to be that's got to be 50 points. If you step off the bus and then
Well,
knock a cyclist
precisely,
off,
yeah.
there's got to be a bonus for that.
You're spot on there. But you see, the thing is, what I do, you see, when I had my helmet on, I've got false goofy teeth and a woolly scarf I can wrap around me, so I could look a complete brat. So, this is what I said about bikes. Bikes nowadays have got sort of straight handlebars. It's a bit trendy to have drop handlebars. To me, a bike isn't a bike unless you've got drop handlebars. But today I had to use my mountain bike. Sorry.
Is that But are the drop handlebars there so that when you're sort of leaning forward, you fart and then you go
You
a
do
bit
actually.
faster?
That's when you puke. Actually, but
That's why racing bikes are faster then. That explains it.
no, bleed chain fell off the sodding thing, and redo the chain by hand. So when I got to my destination, I was covered in bleeding oil and crap. So I wasn't a very happy bunny.
Do you think there's a better way to, as an
Mm.
avid cyclist, because I know the chain coming off is a
Yeah.
pain in the arse, and obviously when I've cycled, I've had
Yeah.
the same issue. Do you think there's a better way that they could actually make bikes so they're more
Yes.
user friendly? Because if the tires come off, they're a pain in the arse to get back on. If the chain breaks, it's a pain in the arse to get back on. If somebody removes your saddle because they're trying to be funny, that's a pain in the
Yeah.
arse more ways
Yeah.
than one, unless you're Keir Starmer.
Or Elton John. Oh.
As an avid cyclist, how do
Mm.
you see? Is there
Yes.
a better way that cycles
Yes,
could be
and that's
made?
called Sturmey Archer, which was been around, I think, in the 30s, and my dad loved them. And I've got a bike with a Sturmey Archer on it, and it's all the gearbox is actually in the the wheel itself, and it's 3-speed. They did up to 12 speeds of them, and it's just a simple chain that goes round it. And my collector's bike, which was built in 1953, I think it was 52, 53, or around about that time. I gave it its first service, the gearbox, a couple of years ago. I don't think it had ever been serviced before, and it was still going strong. It's fantastic. And they're called Sturmey Archers, and they were made at Stevenage in Hertfordshire at one time, and no more. And they're quite expensive now, but Sturmey Archers were on most bikes, and somehow the other types of gears have won out because they're cheap. And that's the problem. But the Sturmey Archers were fantastic, and because also they're clean as well. They don't go wrong.
Okay, so you don't need any oil for the chain.
Well,
and
you
things
need to
like
oil
that.
the chain, yeah. But of course, what they did bring out was, instead of a chain, you had a rubber band type thing. What they call it, like they got on washing machines.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I can't remember.
like you got on your fan belt of your car.
The
That's it.
fan belt. That's it. Yeah, yeah.
And IKEA brought out a bike with a belt on it, and it's perfectly clean. And the belt apparently lasts longer than the chain. But again, it's probably money. And no, it just discontinued, which is a very sad thing. Which you know,
Well, just slightly off topic. I mean, it's still on topic. They obviously, with regards to the blatantly obvious and stuff like that. Does anybody else do you have this where if you order something on, like for example, I
yeah,
order model trains, and they come out via Royal
yeah,
Mail, and Royal Mail deliver the parcel, and then you get an email that says, "How
yes,
do we do?" And you think, well, you've done your
yeah,
job. You've delivered the parcel to me. And you've sent me an email to say it's been delivered. So
yeah.
presumably they must know how
There's a
they've done,
picture of it
because they've sent
with
me
a
an email to say
delivery.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Outside somebody
yeah.
else's door. Yeah, yeah, that's right. But I mean, if I went up to Wolverhampton on the train, I wouldn't then expect the train driver to, as I step off, and give me a questionnaire and say, "Would you mind
Yeah.
filling that out?"
How
And
did
what
we
is it?
do?
How I drove the train? Well, you haven't derailed it, so that's got to be a good starting point. Yeah. You did really well.
Who
Well
gives a
done.
shit?
Yeah, only the Royal Mail can do things like that.
I mean,
Exactly. They've done their job,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and it's not a very good job they do anyway.
Well, the thing, don't I ask you, are you HO or Engage with your railways? Or neither?
Double O
Double O.
gauge. HO double O gauge.
Yes. But
Yeah.
I used to work with a bloke. Is it Engage? They're miniature
It's
ones. He used to order his trains from
Yeah,
Switzerland.
I used to have an Engage layout. Yeah,
Hmm.
was it
Oh,
Fleischmann
they,
that you
they,
used to
they're fun.
use? Does that ring a bell?
Something like that. Something like
Uh,
that.
The
Yeah.
trouble with
Very well
the
made.
trouble with the model railway layout is it's never ever finished. I've changed this around about a dozen times, and I'm quite happy with the one I've got now until I get bored of it, and I'll change it again.
Well, that's life, isn't it?
But it's bloody
What we got,
expensive these days as well.
it must be. But see, the thing is, my parents couldn't afford a Hornby. Cornby with a train, so I had a bleeding triang instead. Not as good, but here
Yeah,
we
yeah,
go.
yeah.
But I'm not
They'd be
blaming the
worth a lot of
parents
money
and
now,
so on.
though.
It certainly would be. Yeah, I think it's in the loft.
They're worth a
DJ B2
fortune
says
now.
government hire retards on purpose, makes it easier for them to defraud the taxpayer. I think you got a point there. Yes, and Pink Planet
I
says,
think I
"Oh,
think they also hire people who lack empathy as well. Sorry.
yes, you're right. They do. Yes, there was a woman at in the finance department who do you remember that woman on 40 Towers who was deaf when she was in that hotel room?
Oh yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah, yeah.
What? And she's just like her. What? Who? You? What? Hey? The rudest whole bag you can ever wish. I've already paid my bleeding council tax, and you are sending me a bill for another, but saying that I haven't paid it, and I got the proof. What? What? Who? Hey? You know, piss off. But very condescending. Now, Pink Planet says also the playing fields from Canal. Well, I think that's adjacent to the canal. Yeah, the other day, council shut the playground in summer holidays to extend it so they had air Harrah's panels around it. Plus, there was nobody working on it either. Yeah, oh, it's a good time to close the playground during the summer holidays. Excellent time, perfect timing. That
Do
is.
you not feel that all this is deliberate, though? Do
Yes.
you not feel as though this is? I mean, I know we've said about roadworks many times where I've seen roads. I mean, they've got a dual carriageway going behind where I live, and every year
Hmm.
they block off probably about 3 or 4 miles of it,
Yeah.
so they can cut the grass,
Yeah.
which isn't even on the bloody carriageway in the first place. It's on the side, and they can cut it in at some other times without even closing the carriageway. I could understand if they were changing the barriers or putting white lines down where they
Hmm.
were at risk of being hit by someone, but yeah, this is. I mean, that's not by accident. The fact they've shut a playground in the beginning of the summer holidays. I mean,
Yeah.
they could have done it in the middle of December when
That's right. That's right.
when children probably won't be playing out.
This is what gets me. I actually think there's a department of chaos. I really do believe it. And now it's summer holidays. All the bleeding roads are up. We I mean, this is the reason why I cycled to Walthamstow and didn't drive there today, because there's two bloody major hold-ups there. It's driving me up the wall. I mean, it really is stupid. But now the other one is Hereditary Skepfoot says Otley Road has individual made bus shelters like little houses. But the question is where is Otley Road? Is it?
I suspect that's somewhere like Leeds. Would you guess?
Yeah, I think it's Outer Hebrides. Let me guess. I don't know. Now, Asperger's as fudge. Oh, and solid engineered rubber tyres. Yes. And quite right, Nuki Brown says the Rally Chopper and Grifter used that 3-speed rear hub. Almost every bike that was manufactured used Sturmiatra gears. And I think you used to pay extra for derailleurs. They were for just racing bikes, derailleurs. And now, the derailleur gears, they're the ones where the chains open, you just move them around. But now, because they're always having to be adjusted. And, all right, Hereditous Getfoot is excellent idea. You could employ this for your railway. Spur makes perfect
It might
tadpoles
look
for
a
your
bit odd when I'm
radio.
stood by the window, though.
Yes, but let's face it, your railway is coming on, isn't it? Let's put it that way.
It is, yeah.
yes.
It's being erected as we speak.
Well, I think that the project will reach a climax soon. I think where you need to. It's certainly an up and coming project.
Well, it's a stiff choice, though. That's the problem.
Come.
And it also takes balls to put a
yes.
on your layout.
Yes. Well, let's face it, your layout would be in a very sticky situation. Now, so I think we lost most of our American listeners now. Yes, definitely. deliberate, Paul. Nobody could be as stupid, even the council. That's right. Now, Pink Planet says we had a boating lake here and an open air swimming pool. That's right. When I was a child, both shut to save money, but about 100,000 more people living here now. Correct. Yes. Yes. Oh, and he got that.
Well, there used to be one. There used to be an open air swimming pool near Tetnall in Wolverhampton that I used to go past on the bus, and that was always really well used. I don't know. I haven't been past there for years, but again, it's something communal. Although
Hmm.
I suspect these days you won't be able to go in there because somebody probably smash a bottle and chuck it in, or
Yeah.
some, the mentality of the Muppets around these days. I sound really old.
Well, I'm sounding like my granddad every day. I mean, the old style bus shelters, which were brick, all right, yeah, the smell of wee wee and the strange urine stains up the wall where you didn't know whether it's human or dog, and the occasional surprise, shall we say, visiting card, I think I've said that politely, in the corner, added to this sort of ambience of the place, didn't it?
Yeah, but the point is though, I mean, like I said before we came on air, that only Telford and Wreaton Council could. We had some old brick bus shelters, like in Donington, for example, that have been there for 50, 60, 70 years. They've been there for donkey's years. And then only our council could then come along, demolish the bus shelters that worked perfectly fine. They did what they were supposed to do. They didn't need fixing. And then put some glass ones in place that now get bricks stuck through them every day of the week.
Yeah. Oh,
So
it's ridiculous.
where's the mentality? Where's the intelligence there? Well,
Well,
they must have known that when they put glass in. I mean, you put glass in anything, that's a target for any Muppet, isn't it? You know, well, we're going to smash that.
And also stones getting thrown up from
Council.
cars as well. That sometimes smashes it. But what gets me is they
Yeah.
probably do that thinking that people will not do a wee wee in there. Yes, they will. Because I mean,
Yeah.
I was. I probably said this before. I was up the local town the other week. That was a couple of months ago, and there was some character of our, shall we say, a colonial, one of our colonial people, curling one out on a green patch near a litter bin. There he was, in full daylight, trolleys down, and morning, nice out, isn't it?
Makes you wonder what he'd wipe with. There weren't any nettles anywhere nearby that he could have used.
No, it's just sort of.
That's a pity.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. Yes, but anyway, what I was going to say, requisitioning your brain. Some very, very wide-eyed person. I think it's Mike. Where is it? Mike Mantis has said, like the thumbnail, Twilight Zone, Eye of the Beholder. Yes, that thumbnail is from the Twilight Zone, and it was around. I think. I'm seeing them on YouTube because somebody introduced me to them, and they are genius. They were made in the late 50s, early 60s. Rod something or other used to introduce it, and that particular one, it really makes you think. And I think that the man who wrote it, Rod something, who I can't remember his surname, so let's say it, tell me in chat, was absolute brilliant. And the camera, and it is done very cheaply. And what it is when it starts, I don't want to spoil it for you. There's this woman, her face is covered in bandages. And he says, we might be able to help you. This might work or it might not work. And unfortunately, your disfigurement will last for the rest of your life. And you see this undoing the bandages, and you only see the back view of the surgeon. And when the bandages come off, you think you're going to see some hideous looking person, and it's that beautiful woman on the right. And it turns out that everybody around is hideously looking, and they are against attractive people, and they're trying to make them ugly like themselves. And absolutely brilliant. And you could, I watch them on YouTube. It's the Twilight Zone. Imagine if you will.
Is that not a bit like what they're trying to do in society now? Where I know we talk about this a lot about where they're trying to feminize blokes and masculine women.
Correct.
And it's amazing how close these films and stuff are to real life now.
Well, Mike Mantis come up with it. It's Rod Sterling, who died too young. He died very young, and he wrote The Twilight Zone. And as I say, I'd never heard of it until a couple of years ago, and a friend of mine said, "You will watch this," and they're all right. They're 1960s. Special effects are crap. The acting was brilliant, and you see very young William Shatner and very young Mr. Spock, and things like that. And it really is good. But no, it's incredible. Now, talking about what you just said, sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to talk over you. I've got a film
No, you're
that I
right.
was going to show when Monica Schaefer was on, and I found it, and I can play it. It's 8 minutes long. Now, it's not that long, 8 minutes. I can put this up, and I think it tells you about what is ruling us. And they've got branches throughout the world, and it's not a secret society, believe it or not. And you can look them up, and they're open about what they do. So, is everybody up for that? Do you fancy seeing it, Paul? Shall we see it?
Yeah.
So
It's your show at the end of the day.
let's. Well, no, it's we're like a family, so I don't want to. I don't want to be selfish.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll run it, shall we? If I can. Yes, here it is, and here we go. We should. Here it comes, and I'll start it off.
London, 1884. A group of socialists sit down with a plan that will outlive every one of them. Remake Britain without a revolution. All right, but how? Well, get inside the institutions, influence the people running them, change the country, one law at a time. They called themselves the Fabian Society. Their method was called permeation. Councils, universities, the civil service, parliament. Put your people and ideas where decisions are made. Bring in public ownership and more services run by government, bit by bit. Fabius Maximus was a Roman general known for avoiding the big battle, wearing down his enemy and waiting for the right moment to strike. That's who they named themselves after. Jesus warned in Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." 2 years after the society was formed, the Fabians put the same image on one of their own documents, a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah, really. In 1895, leading Fabians helped found the London School of Economics. A year later, Sidney Webb wrote about the breeding of degenerate hordes who were unfit for social life, deciding who should have children and who shouldn't. And this wasn't some nutter who came to a meeting. Sidney Webb was one of the most important Fabians who ever lived. By 1900, the society had helped form the Labour Representation Committee, the organisation that became the Labour Party. George Bernard Shaw wrote, "The only fundamental and possible socialism is the socialisation of the selective breeding of man." H.G. Wells advocated controlling the reproduction of people he considered unfit. And this is where it gets properly dark. Because in 1910, Sidney Webb called for preventing the continued procreation of people he described as feeble-minded and degenerate. His answer? Interfere, interfere, interfere. Just let that sink in. The same political circle arguing that the state should care for people throughout their lives was also arguing that the state should interfere with who was allowed to reproduce. Around 1910, the wolf appeared again in the Fabian window. George Bernard Shaw and Sidney Webb are shown hammering the world on an anvil beneath the words, "Remold it nearer to the heart's desire." And above them, the wolf in sheep's clothing. By the 1930s, Sidney and Beatrice Webb were praising Stalin's Soviet Union as a new civilization. Famine, forced collectivization, political repression, the purges, the gulag. Millions were starving, imprisoned or dead, while the webs presented the Soviet system as progress. They dismissed reports of millions dying in the famine as fantastically excessive. Even in 1942, they wrote, "Stalin is not a dictator." Yeah, course not, mate. They also called the Soviet Union the most inclusive and equalized democracy in the world. By 1945, the Fabians had gone from a small group in London to 229 members elected to Parliament, many serving under Clement Attlee. Then the names kept coming: Harold Wilson, James Callaghan, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. The Society's own history says every Labour Prime Minister has been associated with it. Keir Starmer sat on its elected executive. When Labour won in 2024, the Fabian Society said Starmer and more than half his shadow cabinet were Fabian members. Its annual report also said the Society had helped shape Labour's manifesto before it entered government. Rachel Reeves and David Lammy declared Fabian membership while serving in Starmer's cabinet. The Society names Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband as prominent Fabians. Sadiq Khan was Fabian chair and is now one of its vice presidents. Their accounts name Meta, Lloyds Banking Group, Maximus, the government contractor involved in DWP health and disability assessments, UNICEF, RUSI, insurers, trade unions. They say funders can't dictate what gets published. All right, and funding doesn't prove that any policy was bought. But fund the report, sponsor the conference, put your issue in front of MPs, advisors, and future ministers before the public even knows the argument has started. Money gets you into the conversation. That's how influence works in Westminster. The door to influencing policy is wide open. And now Andy Burnham is Prime Minister. He wrote for a Fabian Labour leadership pamphlet and appeared at their events for years. Around him sit Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, and Wes Streeting, their former vice chair. At least 12 people still serving as ministers had formally declared Fabian membership before the reshuffle. And that doesn't include every senior figure who held Fabian office, worked for the Society, wrote for it, or repeatedly appeared on its platforms. And the mad bit? It's all public. The history, the members, the funders, the route into government. For more than 140 years, the same method has kept working. Get inside the institutions, build the network, wait. So remember Christ's warning. The wolf puts on the fleece, walks through the front door, takes a seat at the table, and by the time anybody looks up, it's helping write the rules. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more long-form content like this, make sure you're subscribed and let me know what you want to see next in the comments. Since I started this project, I've been hit with all sorts of bollocks. Bans, restrictions, hit pieces, the lot. And your continued support means everything to me. If you like what we do, consider supporting future projects by buying a t-shirt at thenodeproject.com or buying us a coffee in the link in the description. England till I die.
Well, that was quite something, wasn't it? And that was very interesting. And so there we go. We're back where we are. That says it all, really. Now, I've looked up that website and I can't get onto it. It just says it doesn't
I was
exist.
also intrigued.
So they've been
I was intrigued by the black and white checkered floors as well, which seem to be prominent in there as
yes,
Freemason
that's
links.
right. Oh, hang on. There's a fellow Fockham Mason here. Good evening, fellow Fockham Mason.
Good evening. Do we do the handshake now? Do we?
No, you pick your nose and scratch your ass. That's how.
I already did that just before I came on. I can't do it twice.
Good evening, Paul.
Now, did you? I guess you saw that fantastic. Seriously, that film is fantastic. What the bloke who did that knows his stuff. 8 minutes tells you all about Fabians that you really need to know, doesn't it? Really,
It does. Really? Yeah, it does. I mean, Sydney and Beatrice Webb are definitely worth half an hour of anybody's time to stick their nose in. Sydney Webb I think he had a Cockney accent or something, was very bright. And like all of these things, they started off with good intentions. They just do.
Right.
You look at there was a lot of things going on in the late 1800s, second half of the 19th century. The co-op movement. I've forgotten when that started. I've always been in love with the co-op movement, but they slowly morph all those things away. One thing that's worth mentioning as well, the London School of Economics, although you might not know it, but you know of it, right? It's it's a big sort of stink tank now for these things. But he basically put the money up, or they got some money into the Fabian Society, and it was on his and his wife's suggestion that they build that place. And of course, they've been the propagators of all sorts of economic guff ever since, I'm afraid. It's the power goes to the heads of these people, and they end up becoming, I think many of them end up becoming the enemy of the very thing they were seeking to build. They just get carried away to some degree.
Do you know who studied at the London School of Economics?
Not me.
No, JFK.
Oh, no, me.
Kennedy studied at the London School of Economics.
Yeah.
That's rather interesting.
It is.
But the thing is, my grandfather, he joined the Labour Party in 1907 when it was set up. He was about 19 years of age when it was set up. And he noticed that in the 1920s and 30s, and I've said this several times before, he noticed it being infiltrated. And his advice to me was always watch out for the infiltrators. And as a child, I didn't understand what he's talking about. What does he mean? I understand fully what he means now. He actually saw it being infiltrated.
That was what JFK's one of his speeches was about, wasn't it? About infiltration of all our, not just that, the news broadcasters, every aspect of life has been infiltrated by scumbags, I suppose, or whatever they are, lizards or whatever.
Well, they've got an ideology, haven't they? And they're really committed to it. The problem is they don't display it to people. It operates in the dark, as JFK said, and their errors are never displayed, and they operate at night and deceive by day, and this has become their culture. And I think it is, I don't think Burnham, or Bumhole, to give him his true name, apparently Bumhole is not a Fabian, but I don't know whether I believe that or not. Maybe they're just getting fed up of everybody being a Fabian and said, well, you are a Fabian, we're going to tell everybody that you're not.
I thought he was. I was corrected by the gentleman that you had on your show, because I sort of heard that, he's a Fabian. So I said, he is a Fabian. And he said, no, he isn't. He's written for them. But
I haven't written for him, so he's as good as damn it. I mean, I don't really care whether he's in the club or got the badge or the T-shirt or anything. They're all cut from this same sort of ideological cloth, aren't they? And it's
that's right.
They were ranting against capitalism. Well, too right, but they should never have been ranting against capitalism. They should have always been ranting against the bank. And they don't. And so they now use the bank for other things. And because the bank's warped and out of whack, nothing's ever going to... It can't work. That's why nothing does work by design.
That's right, but there's a big difference between capitalism and free enterprise. I'm against capitalism, but I'm for free enterprise, because free enterprise allows the average person in the street. That's how Henry Ford made his cars, by free enterprise, which is very, very different. And he was asked, why didn't he take over Lockheed? And he says, because we are very good at making motor cars, and Lockheed are very good at making brakes. And if we took them over, they wouldn't be very good at making brakes, because we make motor cars and they make brakes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very logical, and that is true. And I think that's marvelous. But we've got some questions in chat here now. For example, Exo says, co-op movement and charterists campaign to Parliament together at some point. This is interesting.
Mhm.
And the co-op did a heck of a lot. And now Alice Gordon says, what do we think to the Rupert Farage merger? Are we getting it yet? Yeah, the penny dropped with me a long time ago, because they are doing exactly the same what Thatcher and Blair did. They're telling people what they want to hear to get popular, and then once they get to power, they do the exact opposite. That's both. Actually,
They'll basically continue what these other Muppets
Yeah.
have already been doing.
Well, they might do. I think the chances are that they probably would, I suppose. But I mean, I don't know what other options there are out there at the moment. And maybe this is not an option at all. It's just another sort of, dog and pony show or whatever. The thing is, I am rather partial to Rupert Lowe, even though I don't agree with him on entirely. I'm not particularly partial to Farage. No. But if there is a thing called the right over here, then it's obviously been operating in a very wrong way. I mean, I just don't think that there really is, everything. I mean, basically, the right is what would have been socialists in the 1960s.
You're right.
To some degree. It's just continually shifts towards this centralised power all the time, which is the good old communism. But I'm not saying that they're into all that kind of stuff. I mean, I just don't know. I think Farage is a liability because I don't know what he'd be like. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The thing is, it's a play, unfortunately, as the punters in the theatre, we're likely to suffer the consequences of it one way or t'other. So the idea is to basically try and see some good in it. I'm not saying there is any good in it.
Maybe we should put forward some like Rupert Bear.
Yes,
because he'd probably be more useful than most of the politicians. And he could go and play golf every weekend because he'd have the trousers for it.
That's a good point.
We should get Rupert Bear in.
You do declare.
I mean, you had to vote for Sooty, and Sooty came second, didn't he?
Well,
wasn't he ahead of Keir Starmer?
And also, I just put this on. Where are we? No, got the wrong scene here. What is this? Sooty in the nude. Sorry, it's terrible joke, that one is.
Well, of course, what Sooty and Keir Starmer have both got in common is they've both got a hand up their arse.
Something's gone wrong with the screen. Here we go. We get there in a minute. Oh, hang on. Put me over there and put that over there. Okay, all arse about face, but never mind. That's life, isn't it? I'll get there in a minute.
Let's Fred the plan. Hey, where's Jeremy Irons? Has he been removed?
Oh, he's still there. Look, hang on, I'll show you. There he is. He's there. It's Jeremy Irons. He's the other side. You can't see him, but he's definitely there. Yes. But I'm trying to now. Let's have a look. No.
Here's an interesting thing about the webs. Listen to this. This shows you how intelligent people can also have no common sense and be total dorks and no perception. In 1932, the webs, husband and wife, visited the Soviet Union. Although unhappy with the lack of political freedom in the country, they were impressed with the rapid improvement in the health and educational services and the changes that had taken place to ensure economic and political equality for women. Right. When they returned to Britain, they wrote a book on the economic experiments taking place in the Soviet Union called Soviet Communism, a New Civilization. Yeah. It was... I mean, there's nothing you can do with these people. Their head's so stuffed with complex ideas, they literally cannot see the wood for the trees. They don't have common sense. They don't have that grounded sense about what makes life work because they're living in their ideology, all their life. It just takes over their entire brain. And this is why you can't talk to them. I know I'm always banging on about this, but you can't. I mean, it's not possible. They know everything. And you're a turd for even bringing up an opposing view, you turd.
When Fockham becomes the main political party,
yes.
Are we going to bring common sense back into it so we can remove things like health and safety, which is
that's it,
basically common sense anyway. I mean, I don't need somebody to put a sign up that says hot water when I turn on the hot water tap. I know
that's right.
I don't get a warning to say cold water. I mean, that could be just as shocking. I mean, it could be freezing. Bloody hell, it's cold.
I bought some Brazil nuts and it says contains nuts. No. On the side of the package, it says, warning, contains nuts. It doesn't, does it?
That's interesting. So our local, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think what it's where they keep all the loonies. That's got a sign on it that says the same.
I think it has. It has. But very interesting. Now, Pink Planet's come up with one, which I've been saying. I said this on your show, Paul. Was Thatcher in it, though, as she ran the country down? I think she was a closet Fabian because she made the foundations for what we've got today. And Ronald Reagan did exactly the same in America. And a lot of people were writing that Ronald Reagan was a commie because what they said and what they did.
Well, he
are
was
two
a
different
commie.
things.
He was a commie in his younger life. Reagan.
Was he?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. Yes. So I actually think it was just a big act because she systematically destroyed the industry in this country. And I remember, and you probably remember, Paul, do you remember those unemployment figures that are coming out? Thousands and thousands and thousands being laid off all the time. And there's a picture of an unemployment office and a queue literally wrapped around the block of people that are unemployed. And that was sort of within about a week of a.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the unemployment thing was kind of, what do you call it, collateral damage. I thought, to a great degree, I thought that the main aim of doing all that was to destroy working man's communities, like miners, like the dockers in in London, all of the places where men did a lot of physical work for a certain type of man that was suited to that life and had come from a long-standing community where the community operated like that, they destroyed them.
Yeah.
And so that you would not have hardy men floating around that could be mobilized to oppose the government at some point in the future. Because we don't have hardy men now, do we? We have office workers with spindly little arms who over-enunciate everything and have lost connections with manliness, which is all part of it as well. So I think,
that's
you know,
right.
and yeah, also part of the destruction of the family because you reduce that type of a man down to not being able to support his family, which is shameful for men of that type, for all of us actually. But then it's been taken away gradually so that, you know, as we've mentioned before, now everybody has to go out to work and still nobody can pay the bills, which is all by design, of course.
All but you're right. And the top of the list is usury is the problem. And you mention usury to anybody in the street, they go, "What's that? What? Oh?"
They usually do respond like that, don't they?
Yeah. It's sort of,
Got to crack that joke every time.
There he is. Now, Mike Mantis says Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Yes, by Wilkes Booth.
John Wilkes Booth,
and
who was squirreled away and spent the rest of his life in Cornwall.
Apparently he got away. I know that. And do you know who his Tony Blair's wife is? That's her great grandfather.
All
Cherry
part
Blue.
of some distributed bloodline thing. I think there was a whole team involved in that thing, and they were nearly all Jesuits as well.
Now we're coming on to that because now Mark Mantis says Abraham Lincoln was assassinated and succeeded by Andrew Johnson, born in 1808. Lincoln was shot in the head at Ford's Theatre. JFK was assassinated and succeeded by that's right, Johnson.
Wasn't JFK
and Johnson
and he was assassinated in a Ford.
Yes,
right.
I knew there's some link there.
There's all these coincidences, and the name of Lincoln's secretary was the name of was called Kennedy, and the name of Kennedy's secretary was called Lincoln. Yeah, it's all a bit weird.
Very, very weird.
Yeah, there's a whole list of those things. I remember. I've probably buggered that, but you know,
and
there's a lot of
Kennedy in a
coincidences.
Lincoln car?
Yeah, that's
Kennedy
it.
in a Lincoln
Not a
car.
Ford. That's right. Yeah,
that's right. And it says it's not just the Fabians, though, is it? It's Jesuits, Freemasons, Zionism, and and I add in this in and the unmentionables.
The unmentionables.
The unmentionables. Yes. And now he goes on. Mike Magic says Lyndon Johnson, born in 1908. That's right. JFK was shot in the head in a Lincoln Continental, made by Ford.
Wow.
Was it made by Ford?
So Kennedy was succeeded by Johnson, and I think Lincoln. No, yeah, something like that. Lincoln was succeeded by Kennedy. Oh, I don't know. There's a list of it somewhere, isn't there? There's sort of these bizarre things. You don't know whether it's clickbait or not, but I think it's reasonably true of all these sort of odd overlappings with all these different names from two assassinations.
But when
Very
you look
weird.
at it like that, it sort of shows that. No, obviously I do the numerology stuff, and it shows exactly what I talk about. That the every event is linked to something else further down the line, and this year is in August when the Muppets thing starts, the football season starts.
Mhm.
It's the 35th Premier League, which will link to Kennedy, because Kennedy was the 35th president to be. He was obviously he was number 35, and his granddaughter was 35 when she was murdered or whatever it was that happened to her. And never
That's
never
interesting.
accidents. They know what they're doing.
Well, David, says Robert Owen, 1771 to 1858, was a Welsh textile manufacturer,
Yeah.
social reformer. So was Cadbury, and a founding father of utopian socialism and the cooperative movement. His ideas on worker welfare, community, and cooperation. Yes, and the same was it Bourneville and
I was about
John
to say
Lewis.
Bourneville.
Yeah, because
If you ever go to
now
Bourneville in Birmingham, it's basically got everything that you'd want from a town. It's got great gardens, beautiful houses. I mean, beautiful by Birmingham's terminology. Playgrounds and swimming pools, and it's Bourneville's quite a nice part of Birmingham, if there's such a thing.
Yeah, the Cadbury family did a lot of, I think we have to say, good things. There were people that were earnestly trying to do good things, but these organisations in due course just get tunnelled out. It's a bit like the Ford Foundation. It was set up for good reasons, but by the time we got round to Eustace Mullins researching the whole thing, when they went there to actually find out, and they handed all the whoever was the head of the Ford Foundation handed all their notes over. He was doing all this inquiry. He said, look, instead of me answering all your questions, why don't I just give you full access to all the notes from all our meetings since we started? So he said, oh, thanks very much. And they started to read them. His secretary had a nervous breakdown as she transcribed them, because the gist of it was that the whole purpose of the Ford Foundation, of course, Henry Ford was no longer around to supervise it, was to bring America and the Soviet Union into one system. That was the whole purpose of it. And they all believe in this centralized sort of control system. This is what they've decided upon. And that's what the Webbs believed in. And all this kind of, piffle and stuff. It's without really being able to see the consequences of it. I think they, like I said, they all start off with good motives. I've always just loved the co-op because it makes sense to me. The idea that you, as a worker and or as a customer of an organisation, have some kind of stake, albeit small, in that enterprise. And there was a guy, I don't know if Justin mentioned him the other day, there was a guy called Louis Kelso in America, created a thing called, I think they're ESOPs, employee share ownership programs or something like that, an ESOP, right? And it's a brilliant idea. I read loads about it sort of 20 years ago. It just makes sense. It feels like it's just. In other words, if you're working at a clothing company designing or putting suits together for 25 years, you have a stake in that business. Everybody's therefore looking after everybody else's back, and it's not about the management or distant shareholders plundering the assets of the company and leaving everybody destitute. And unfortunately, that's what the stock exchange model does, because it's basically gambling with the outcomes of productive companies.
That's right. Apparently, though, they did cooperatives a lot in Germany, and it's successful. You look how successful German industry was after World War II.
Yeah. I think it should be the model for England. I think the whole nation should be a co-op. Like I banged on before, that instead of getting a birth certificate, the first thing you're given is a share certificate in the Bank of the English. Yeah. We'd have to change its name or something, and it's non-transferable, and it expires when you do, and it comes into existence when you do. And if there are divvies, they're divvied up per share, and you can only ever own one. And then you go, oh yeah, I actually do have a stake in my nation. I actually do have one. See, here it is. Yeah. And with computers, to administrate all this would be an absolute piece of piss, but nobody comes up with these ideas because it's always, they're going to use computers to solve a problem. Of course, the problem shouldn't exist in the first place if we had an honourable money system as opposed to a dishonourable currency system, which is really what we're, but everybody's clever at playing around with this, and that's why you get all these schemes.
Currency links to the pirates, isn't it? The Admiralty law, so you got the pirates would do their business on the rivers and then take their money to the banks. Hence, you have river banks, and the river
Mm.
banks assist the flow of the currency, the current
Mhm.
currency, which is why they both link. But
But,
if you work for a butcher's, should you get a stake in that?
Who invited you on? What's going on round here?
Yes,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I'm not sure. I think Gaddafi did something like that, didn't he? In Libya, because I know that there's no unemployment, there's no poverty there. He eradicated poverty; it just didn't exist. There's nobody.
Yeah,
begging
I
for
think he
salt.
took the revenues from that oil. They've got a special high quality oil, don't they? Like light
Yeah.
oil, it's called, and it's like the highest sort of standard of oil against which the value of other oils are measured or something. It was like the purest or something like that, and they did really well. And he took that money and basically made education free for his students to travel around the world and go to the best universities and bring that knowledge back to Libya to enhance the value of life there. You go, great. But of course, it's not our nation that hates that. It's the people in control of our nation that hate
That's
that,
right.
as we
That's
well
right.
know.
Now, Poirot says the whole idea of the world is upside down. You cannot know what you believe, and you cannot believe what you know. And DJ Beto reckons that Klaus Schwab's arm must permanently smell of shit. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I know where he's
right?
coming from.
Yes.
He must. I suspect the rest of him has a similar odour, to be quite honest.
Yes, that's right. And yes. And Exo says, and education deeply influenced early British labour movements, running parallel and interacting with the working class political demands of the Charterists. I actually, when I was at school as a teacher, was mad on a film called Our Green Is Your Valley or something like that.
Not very green, Eric. There's not been any rain for 10 weeks. But
Well,
yeah, I know what you
precisely.
mean. Yeah.
And I saw it years ago, and I thought it was filmed in Wales, but it wasn't. It's filmed in California because it's made during the World War II, and they just couldn't get to Wales to film it. So they made all the mining stuff and all the little cottages in California. But it looks just like Wales. I was quite surprised. They did a bloody good job of it. And
What they haven't got Rill there, have they? The Sun Centre and stuff at Rill. That'll be ace.
But no, you see a very, very young. Who was the bloke who had acted the part of a monkey in Planet of the Apes? He's in it, and lots of
Roddy
very,
McDowell.
That's right. Yes, and he was.
I used to be
boy.
a monkey, you know. I used to play a monkey. I started off. I did Hamlet, but then I was cast as a monkey.
Yes. I had a flea in my ear, you know.
A chimpanzee.
Was he a sort of a fan of Queen? I assume he liked We Are the Chimpions.
Yes, as if he rode a bike like mine, he'd have a baboon's arse. Excuse me. I mean, that's what my backside felt like when I got off my seat needs adjusted. So when I got off my bike today, I felt as if my backside was like a baboon's bum. It was like.
I know, you sent me this thing, Eric. I'll just read it verbatim. You said, my bum hurts. And then when I read that, I immediately thought something dreadful. And it's good job you wrote bloody bike saddle needs adjusting. I thought, phew, thank crikey for that. It's only the bike saddle. Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm not trying to cast aspersions. If anybody else's bum hurts, you've got a fellow traveller in Eric today. But yes.
But now Piano says smartest minds in the world paid the most money to control you. Yes, I think that's right. Yes, and the fact of the matter is that. Here we are. Mike Matters, Thatcher and Savile had a lot in common. They both said the miners, F the miners. Yeah, that's right. And
well, Thatcher was responsible for destroying our railways, wasn't she? Anything that was she told British Rail if any stock that was spare, just to scrap it, even though it was probably there spare for a reason. Not.
Yeah, it's part. I think they're sort of the part of the process that have brought in the anemic society. Things lack colour and feel and joy and stuff. Everything just became completely obsessed with things like, because I was working in telemarketing in the 80s when she was in and all that kind of stuff, right? It was all about databases and stuff like this and market segmentation. That was the language, and we just all got driven over to a service. It's going to be great. But really, it's just not fundamentally sound. But that was to make us dependent or interdependent on other nations for the manufacturing of raw stuff. And of course, they said, "Oh, we can't manufacture things." Yes, we can. That was tunneled out as well, because they used the unions. No doubt they were in the Fabian pay as well, right? To become agitators to make it not possible for manufacturers to make things cost effectively by design.
Yeah.
None of this is accidental at all. None of it. And to shame us, the Germans make good cars. Well, we can make bloody good cars, although, we're not as systemized in our mentality as we think or perceive the Germans to be. But the Germans are also highly creative people as well. So I think, it's just been one knockout, one punch after another since Europe lost World War II. It's just been ongoing. It gave them, they had unbridled free rein to just have a go at everything, and that's exactly what they did.
Well, that's the thing that bugs me with the railways, is that we invented them, and we used to sell locomotives across the world back in the 60s and 70s. A company called English Electric was one of them. They sold locos to Portugal and France and everywhere, different places. Yeah. And now we don't manufacture anything, and we now buy them from these countries that we used to sell them to, and then they come here and they're crap, basically. Cheap shite.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot to. I mean, the main thing with getting these ideas implemented, which we're probably not going to see during our lifetimes, although you're a spring chicken, Paul, I think, so you might do. I think, is to avoid the same sort of situations that Lincoln and Kennedy, unfortunately, were at the receiving end of, because that is their final bargaining chip, and they are willing to and do that, and they're doing it now. And they intimidate the leaders of foreign nations, don't they? Like, what's his name? John Perkins, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, that kind of stuff. He wrote the book because he was ashamed of what he'd done. But okay, you still did it, mate. I'm sorry. It's just, it's like we were saying with the thing. All these governors of the Bank of England, once they're actually on their pension, they then start spilling their guts when no one's really going to listen to them. And they're trying to sort of salve their conscience for being involved in effectively being spivs. Yeah. That's what they are. They're spivs. That's the new technical term for people that run banks. They're spivs. And I think that they need to be called as such, all the time.
Practical people telling practical people what to do. And what annoys me is, when the Falklands War started, I thought that's the end of Thatcher. I've never been so wrong in all my life. Wars get leaders increased popularity. Popularity went through the roof because of the Falklands War. And they reckon that was a kind of prearranged, because they took a lot of ships away from the Falklands, and they almost lured Argentina to invade. There was something very weird about that, and there's lots of papers still locked up, still under lock and key about the Falklands War that we're not allowed to know. But I think that I still believe that Thatcher, again, was a closet Fabian, because the first person that Blair asked him to number 10 when he was elected was Thatcher. Why? And that was in the newspapers. I remember it clearly. And I thought, it's very
well, I think there's been a uni party for a lot longer than people probably consider. It's obviously a term thrown about now, isn't it? But I think it goes back probably, even back into the 1910s, even though it was they had such momentum of possibly differing parties. And at least, they used to be able to talk and everything, but they didn't have so many invasive threats from journalists back then, so they could get away with more. Things didn't move as quickly communications-wise. You had there were no telephones much, were there, in the 1910s over here? Maybe by the 1920s there were, I don't know. But all that kind of stuff, so journalists would, I suppose, get a horse down to the House of Commons and write things down, and then get some lad to run across town to Fleet Street to get it printed. That kind of stuff. So things were slower, and it created a different sort of ease for them in comparison to today. But they've just upgraded their sophisticated communication techniques.
Yeah.
But we're now, if you think about where this nation apparently was 100 years ago, in 1926, of course, on its knees after World War I, but not fully killed off. Churchill managed to accomplish that for his Masters.
Oh, he's a brilliant job of wiping.
He did.
written
And he
off the
played a
map.
considerable role in wrecking everything in World War One as well, because he was
Yes.
bloody useless there as well, and bloody being the operative word. So, yeah, we've always been governed by dorks, or for a long time.
have.
We haven't had anybody strong for a long, long time, really.
Well,
But ultimately, we don't need governing, do we?
No.
At the end of the day, we don't need it.
No, they need to govern
We
us,
could
though.
we could all be free.
Yeah, they need to govern us.
but,
We don't need their governance, but they absolutely depend upon it for their, I don't know, their self-respect. That's not the right word, but their sense of aggrandizement over us. This is why they, like on those military parades. Listen, I'm not against military valor. I understand that, but the sort of, you get all these guys absolutely dripping in medals and big plumed hats and everything. You're like, what are you doing? Really? What's going on? What is all this crap? They're all into it. There's a sort of vainglorious strutting that goes on, and I think that's, hey, look at us. We're really in charge of everything. Yeah, right, great, mate. I'm off to the pub.
It's like all these OBEs for footballers and stuff. You think, well, you've earned £1 million a week for kicking a ball around the field, which
Yeah.
is clearly football is rigged. So they knew what they were doing. So they get they get these OBEs or whatever for basically kicking the ball around the field.
do
Yeah,
what they
I'd rather
enjoy
see
doing.
that go to somebody who actually.
Yeah.
Exactly. Give it to someone who actually does deserve it. Not, I don't know who deserves it really, but us, for example. I mean, we're doing a service to society. We're freeing people and bringing people in to learn about the truth and making people happy. We should be getting OBEs, not these footballing pieces of.
Yeah, do you really want one,
Shit.
though? What is an OBE? Can you eat it?
Not really, no.
It's probably rubbish.
OBE.
Yeah.
I suppose it might be OBE1. That'd be a Star Wars thing, wouldn't it?
What, as in Obi or something?
Obi, yes.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah.
The fact of the matter is that DJ Beto says the centralization of control is the motive behind all the AI stuff, the data centers and the mass surveillance. These data centers have sort of come out of nowhere. A couple of years ago, nobody ever heard of a data center. Now they're all over the bloody place. I mean, have you got any near you, Paul?
And aren't these?
I suppose that.
No, but aren't these things that are which Paul?
Yeah.
Am I anorak now?
Oh, any anorak, Paul? I don't mind.
Threw us there, Eric. He
Yeah,
had us
I
both
did,
going
didn't I?
there, Paul,
Yes,
didn't he?
that's
We're
right,
completely
yes.
at 6s and 7s. We don't know what's
That's right.
going on.
You almost ripped your anorak with shock.
I should.
And then they put me back
I
out.
should be anorak now because
Everybody's called Paul round here. It's very funny. It
Yes.
is.
Well, I think I'll call myself Paul, and that'll be. Do you remember that with the Monty Python? I'm Bruce. This is Bruce, and this is Bruce, and to stop any complication, we'll call you Bruce as well. All right, Bruce. Sorry.
Of course, my middle name is
Yeah, that's
Ignatius, but I think that's So
Yes.
my name is Pie, as in pie, which is much more
So you're
interesting.
Pie?
Yeah, pie.
Yes, pie.
Yeah.
Yes, pie.
Yeah.
So
Are you-
so
are you
should we-
squared?
Should we say that you're humble, or pork, or
Pork.
pork pie, humble pie?
Yeah.
Oh no, apple. I think for me. Actually, somebody asked me the other day, "What's your favourite pudding?" And after a little bit of thought, I thought it really is warm. It's still got to be warm. Apple and blackberry pie. I think
With cream.
yes. Yes, or ice cream if
Yeah,
it's
that's
really
it,
hot.
I've
But
gotta be honest.
and I was walking down the Ginnel, as I call it, which is a northern phrase. It's not really a Ginnel. I think they call them Twittons round here, which I quite like as well, because it is full of twits, of course. It's called a Twitten. And there was a lady picking the blackberries, and I was a bit cross because she's picking them too early. But you know what it's like. They just get up a little bit, and then suddenly, I didn't tell her off. I said, "Oh, blackberry picking, eh?" I said, "So can I put my order in now for She smiled. I said, "I will. I'll buy some pies off you." But no, there was nothing forthcoming at all. I was
but
crushed.
You see, the thing is it apple pie you go for? Or is it apple crumble? See, apple crumble is one of those things. It's a very specialist thing because you don't buy an apple crumble for the apple, do you? Let's be honest. You always buy the apple crumble because you want it like 4 inches of
Gunk.
crumble, and the apple's just an afterthought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
rhubarb crumble, and I love. I'll tell you what, I've not eaten in ages, and I think they're supposed to be out now, although nothing's out anymore. Is it gooseberries? Aren't gooseberries
Oh
an
no,
August
gooseberries
thing?
were out. No. My gooseberries, I picked them about a month ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've got your own gooseberry supply. It's all coming
I've
out
got my
now,
own
Eric.
gooseberry supply. Yes.
You never
yes.
said a bloody word about that. You kept that to yourself.
Oh yes. Yes.
I made a note here
Can
for
you
this
still
time
get
next year.
gooseberry
But I
jam?
must speak to Eric about gooseberries first
a
week of
bit-
July.
I'm rather interested. You're reckon that blackberries are too early. They're all black round where I live, all ready for picking.
They are, but I just
I
think
think
they
they're
can
really
get
early.
fuller. They can get fuller. But this is just me. I'm a bit anal about. Of course, this time of the year is when we were unleashed as school children, weren't we? We got the whole of August. You got off in the first sort of week of September. It's 6 weeks holiday, wasn't it? You know.
Yes, that's right.
And I lived near a railway line, which Paul will be very happy about because the Flying Scotsman used to go up there from Leeds over to York and then up to Scotland. And so lots of steamers when I was a young kid. Anyway, up and down railway lines, as everybody knows, or should know if they were children round here, you just get tons and tons of blackberries. And so me and my brother and my sister and my playmates in the street, this is when we're 8, 9, 10, that kind of age, maybe even a bit older, 25. No, we'd go off and pick blackberries. We used to come back with tons of them, absolutely loads.
Yes.
And my mum was able to make 3 massive apple and blackberry pies. And of course, that
Excellent.
was on a Wednesday, and then they'd be all eaten by Friday. They'd be just they just couldn't last at all. They were just fantastic. They were so
I'm
brilliant.
I'm still convinced they're 2 months early.
Yeah.
I'm sure
They are early.
blackberries used to be sort of September,
They did.
October time, not June,
Did they?
July, and August.
I thought they were August because I always used to pick them on school holidays. So I thought they were kind of late August when they'd really
maybe.
sort of. But then we didn't get as much sunshine unless it was 1976. Of course, this year is a bit like 1976, although it doesn't feel to me as hot as it was in 1976. I could be wrong about that. Maybe the numbers reveal me to be a liar. I don't mean to be, but it just.
It's
I don't
bloody
know.
hot in 1976 because the tar was melting on the roads. It's literally curling up either side.
Aye,
but,
those were the days. You tell that to the young
yes.
people of the day, they won't believe you.
Well,
See,
well, I was
It's great being an old
we came on
fart.
there,
Isn't it
wasn't it?
great
It
becoming
is.
an old fart? It's
I enjoy
wonderful.
being an old fart. It's great. And I mean, I looked a real dickhead today. I mean, I had my shorts on.
Yeah.
Me bicycle helmet, and all it needs is my false goofy teeth. So I sort of cycle along the road. So, hello.
You didn't have your gooseberries out, did you?
I could have done. If I would have done, my case would have come up.
It's
next
just
week.
non-stop round. It's just a
Yes.
river of filth.
Oh yeah, she's got some lovely gooseberries there, you know. No, I got a nice big marrow though. But
When you said that about your gooseberries out, Paul, I sprang instantaneously into mind an image of Buster Gonad and his unfeasibly large testicles.
well, we could actually have. Was it Mike Burnham and his unfeasibly large bullshit, or something like that?
Yeah,
Yes.
we
Or his
could.
unfeasibly large piles. Sorry. Actually,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been a while since we've had the tone lowered.
yes.
You started it.
Or get, yes.
I'm just
think it's
going
started
along
last
for
time as
agreements
well.
purposes because I've got no will. I'll just do what the crowd does.
You need to follow what Chris is doing. Then you need to get yourself a couple of gooseberries.
Yeah, probably do. Yeah.
And my favourite in Viz magazine was Nobby's Piles. That was classic. Do you remember that? Nobby's Piles. Buster Gonads. So,
We're not going to see these days ever again, you know.
No,
There won't be any humour going forward. It'll be just electronic amusement of a completely tedious and unsmutty type. It will be no good whatsoever. It'll be rubbish.
Well, I've already suggested to Chris that in the Fock'em world, we need to make sure that fox hats are part of the attire.
yes.
So when somebody says, "I'm going to Cornwall," they can say, "Wear the fox hat." I think that's genius.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea, yes.
I suppose, and
Or-
it's pretty close to Foxham Hall as well, you see. So maybe as in the Fox, Focks. But I don't know. I'm just
Or-
desperately reaching for things here.
For
That's
fox's
very
sake,
bad.
stop hunting them. What about that one?
Yeah,
For fox's
there
sake,
you go.
stop hunting.
Yeah.
But Theresa May, DJB2 said, Theresa May was also an economic and energy saboteur. She scrapped the gas storage facilities, so there is no longer a gas stockpile. That's right. Yes.
all by design, isn't it? Look, it's got. Don't you think, really, that the Fabians should be declared? I mean, I declare it in the house, but there's only me listening, or a wasp or something. There was a wasp in there this morning. Yeah. But every morning you should announce loudly to the world, say at 9 o'clock, that the Fabians are a terrorist organisation and need to be brought to justice.
Yes,
as is the WEF. The WEF is a financial and culturally terrorist organisation. These are terrorists.
Yes. And
they use it takes the form of anxiety and the embedding of false ideas in the minds of millions of people and the manipulation of them thereof, and they're terrorists because this is not an open civil conversation designed to bring about consent through mutual agreement at all. This is about deceptive, manipulative use of the media. I mean, one of the things, of course, is that we don't have a media. There aren't any journalists left. Because the media is overthrown, you get no opposition from any politicians in terms of really clear, vicious, and it's sometimes required to be vicious, hypercritical rebuttals of government stupidity. You just don't get that anymore. You used to get people every now and again, not most of them, but there used to be some. The journalists are a joke. I mean, I'm trying to, remember John Pilger? He wasn't a joke. He would go right in there and do stuff.
He was a real journalist. I got a letter from him because I wrote to him once.
A great guy. I'm assuming he's no longer with us, but he might be.
He no longer is. No, he's no longer with us. But what gets me is journalists years ago used to drink with the police, and they used to exchange information, and often journalists would solve a case that the police couldn't solve, and the police would give the journalists snippets of information. They worked hand in glove together, and it worked extremely well, because the journalists would be mingling with the local people, and it was local papers that solved a lot of crimes, and they were real journalists. They knew what they're doing. But Mike Mantis says, a woman said I was a bit of a looker the other day. Well, voyeur was the word she used.
You need to get Mike on this show. He's obviously a bit of a cheeky chappy.
I say.
I say.
Yes. But there was, do you notice the last eccentric was Anne Widdecombe, but there's no eccentrics anymore. What's happened to them? You remember you used to have Terry Thomas, I say, and all those sort of people were eccentric.
Well, it was a freer society that they didn't have production managers that were all left-wing retards. I mean, the whole of the BBC is just riddled with them, apparently. All these sort of ponytail wearing, the whole of the ideology has just crept into everything. And it's like, it's not only about the abuse of financial and economic and media power. It's also about what kind of a world do we want to live in. I mean, basic in the sense that you've got these what should we call them, lefties or something? I think commies is the better word.
Communists.
You've got commies, and their world is built on everything, all the planks of the International Communist Manifesto. Literally, they are examples of it. They behave in a way to destroy families and make them not possible. They belabor all sorts of things that are not necessary. They get vicious about people that don't pay income tax, therefore enshrining it that you must pay this stuff. Or they're institutionalists. They want centralized control because they are more noble than you and I, us filthy peasants from the sticks. This attitude will never leave them. It's almost sometimes even worse when it comes from these robust guys from the working class who take this on. They're even worse, some of those. Like these vicious union leaders who become totally empowered with international communism and all this kind of stuff. And just, and they're bullies as well. They are absolute bullies.
Oh, yes. And I can say quite categorically. That's what they used to say. I can say quite categorically.
As we discussed at the committee meeting the other day, it's like, stick it up your ass, you twat. I used to hear stuff like that all the time. My dad was always going, look at him. I mean, my dad loathed Arthur Scargill, who was a complete Marxist. Very good communicator, but a bit but a mincer, He was just completely useless, really. They just look like hobbyists to me. Like, oh, they did all this thing in Russia. There's a lot of that. They did this thing in Russia and it's great. Let's do it again. What? What? Oh, you're not too bothered that 65 million Christian Russians got slaughtered over 40 years, are you? That doesn't matter. They never mentioned that. And that tells you, a bit like Solzhenitsyn said, what did he say? He said, the fact that these atrocities were committed by people and that the press do not report them, I'm paraphrasing, shows you that the press is in the hands of the very people that carried out these crimes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What was it Stalin
Exactly.
said? The death of one person is a tragedy. The deaths of thousands is a mere
Of a
statistic.
million. A
Yeah.
million, I think he said.
Was
Yeah.
it a million? Something like that. Yes.
Lovely fella.
But,
He used to give his
Palo-
mother flowers and that. It was really nice. He used to buy lots of drinks at the pub. I can kill millions of people. That was just a bad habit he got into.
Well, apart from that, he's quite a nice bloke. But Palo says all these people in government are there for you to complain at, while the real owners pull the strings. Pull all the strings.
Ooh, yeah.
Right. I think the government are just the frontispiece, aren't they? At the end of the day, it's the. I mean, we had that thing posted earlier on about the people who are further up the chain. So it's like the Knights of Malta and Knights Templar and all these sort of people, the popes and stuff that are all. It's them that ultimately run the show. The government's just a frontispiece to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. And Palo goes on to say
they all need to sod off, but quite frankly, and let us all be free.
They won't do that, though, will they? Shall we write them a letter? Dear bosses of the world, could you all please just sod right off?
And Mark Manchester has come up
likely.
with a good one. I like to give 20% of my earnings to charity and other strippers. Oh, it's a classic. I like. But keep bringing them, Mike. They're bleed fantastic. I like these.
They're right in your oeuvre, aren't they?
Yeah,
Eric?
they really are. Yes, mine are my uncles. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's this? I knew. I Mike Manchester says I knew a guy called Paul Mycock.
Did he? How
His wife
interesting.
was called Pat. I'm not joking. Oh my
There are names that you wouldn't go with. When we used to have something at our place was called Wayne Kerr
His parents
Yes.
also have a sense of humour.
and Megan Bacon.
Oh,
things
very
like that.
small brain.
Yes.
Yeah, very small brain. We did have a client I've mentioned before called Richard Head. Seriously, it was very
Really?
difficult to actually. Yeah.
And there was a
Dick,
chap.
how you doing? It's just too much.
That's right. There was a bloke. I think he was a client called Joe King. That's his name.
Oh, I
Joe
quite
King.
like that. That's quite good.
Joe King.
I
yeah.
quite like that. That's rather witty, actually.
Well, there was a
Yeah.
comedian called No Smoking, because he tried to think of a stage name and he's sitting on a train. He saw No Smoking up, so he
Yeah,
sign in front of
Nosmo,
him.
wasn't it?
Nosmo, yeah,
Nosmo King.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, that works, you know. He could have called himself Swan Vestas, I suppose, or something like
Yes.
that. As long as it's, yeah. Sometimes those brands have gone into people's brains that you're on autopilot when you see them and people respond badly to all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, now Alice Gordon says I went to school with Gordon Bennett, and apparently,
Do you know who Gordon Bennett was?
right? So they racing, wasn't it? A racer?
No, he was an American. An American gadabout town. He came to London and he had a very racy sort of life and was I think he was a bit of a spendthrift and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know quite. Gordon Bennett. I don't know how it became. I think it was sort of synonymous with bad behaviour, something like that.
Because there was one,
See-
he was a test pilot or something. He was one of these blokes that was sort of on these, you know, when they put them on like rail links that go at a terrific speed, and they was testing ejector seats, and it kept going wrong. And I think he was called Gordon Bennett. Gordon Bennett again, yeah.
Well, just
It's
going back
linked
one
to the
subject.
outrageous antics of James Gordon Bennett. How about that?
Interesting.
I reckon there should be a Focke dating agency that's called Swan Vesta, and you could just say, well, we get the best batches.
Oh dear.
It could be a
Well,
slogan.
Yeah, but there already is one. It's called Screwfix. Sorry.
Strike it, lucky.
I was hoping we'd be going to the Fockham Hall Festival this year, but we've just not had enough time to organise one, have we?
No,
But if we
no,
do
we
it
haven't.
next year, you could maybe bake a gooseberry pie and reserve one for me, Eric, or at least get
Yes.
Florence in the Fockham Hall kitchens to make us a nice,
That would be nice. And
juicy gooseberry
yes.
pie.
now Exo says, what about Thor's mighty hammer. Well, did you hear about Thor? He came down to Earth and he met this dusky maiden, and he had a night of naughties, and he thinks in the morning, I better tell her who I am. So he turns around to this gorgeous lady and he says, I am mighty Thor. She says, so am I, but it's a very nice evening, isn't it? Sorry.
Oh, God.
You know the name of he's got that mallet, hasn't he? I was
Yes.
talking to my son about that mallet or that hammer, an uru, U-R-U, and it's got a name. It's called Mjolnir. Isn't it a great name, that? And I've actually thought it was the coolest weapon ever because it keeps coming back to you, so you can just batter 10 bells out of everybody all day long. It's just great. Why can't we get one of them? I wouldn't need a shotgun. We should just all be armed with Thor's hammers.
Yes.
Paul, I'm
Now,
sorry to break this to you, but it's not real.
What's that?
Oh, it's real, all right. Somebody wrote it down. I read it once in a book, so it's as real as anything could be. It's as real as very large trees and giant lizards and everything. It's just as real in my mind. So it's real. Yeah, I think it's just as real, actually. So I always wanted one as a kid when I used to read the comic books, going, that is the coolest thing ever. So, yeah, I loved it.
Well, Mark Mantis says we used to collect blackberries by the railway track and mess about on the track as well. Yeah, did you put 2 coins on top of each other on the railway track as we did?
Oh, yeah.
And a train came along and it welded the coins to the track.
We also used to flatten. You remember Matchbox cars, those little model cars? So the old knackered ones, we used to put those in a line, and then we could take them back to school and show them really flat. They were streamlined now. They were really, really thin. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, it's just that destructive thing that's in young boys. We've got to destroy this. So
I never did this, but they used to stand on the road bridge and gob on the cars as they come underneath. And if they got an open top convertible, they got 10 points. And they used to have we reckon there should be an Olympic event. The folks used to sort of
oh, those cheeky British lads and their saucy humour. Tremendous.
But I'll never forget, I was standing there watching, and one of the kids, there's this open convertible, I think it was an MG, and this lovely girl in there, and women used to wear the headscarves. Well, it's going on. The cars were slowing down. He gobs right in the car. And you could see her sort of, he got a right on her headscarf, and she knew that something plopped on her head. And So as the car was going along very slowly, because there's a little bit of a traffic hold up, we saw her sort of adjusting her headscarf, and someone shouted out, 10, right, we've got 10 for that one. But by the way, he goes on about, he says, none of this gay health and safety bollocks in those days. No, talking about that, I was behind a bus day before yesterday, and it was the Hertford Pride bus painted in rainbows. Isn't that interesting? So, it was a bit of a pain in the arse.
Was Elton John anywhere near the exhaust?
By the way, have you seen Elton John recently? He's bleeding let himself go, isn't he? Seriously, he looks really old now. Now, what's this now?
There's probably a joke in there somewhere, but I can't think of one.
No. Just trying to think.
Do you want me to read you a little story about Gordon Bennett?
Please do.
Here's an interesting thing. I just had to do a little search. Now, Bennett Jr., because his father was also known as Gordon Bennett, known simply as Gordon Bennett to distinguish him from his father. He was of Scottish heritage, but they owned a very large newspaper, the New York Herald, which he ran into the ground. Okay, his father had built it. Yeah. He ran it into the ground. What a pity. Was a different kettle of fish altogether. Known as the first true playboy, he took control of the New York Herald and pretty much drained it of money. There are a few stories as to why we attribute the saying to him. The first story scandalized high society. He attended his own engagement party to socialite Caroline May, where he arrived late, a little worse for wear. I do like understatements so much. A little worse for wear, and began, dependent on which source you believe, to urinate into the fireplace or on the grand piano, so either or, maybe both. A little tinkle on the ivories it was not, but it was in full view of his eminent guests. Needless to say, I am sure some people exclaimed, "Gordon Bennett!" to that spectacle. So there you go. That's one aspect. An outrageous character. Yeah, very interesting.
Well, talking about posh do's, I went to a posh do once. Yeah, I did get invited along, and it was all these sort of architectural clients and things like that. And then I worked with a few Australians, and they sort of, and and suddenly I noticed the punch bowl disappearing. And there was 4 of them, 2 either side, and edging it outside. Oh, strange. And then when it came back, one of them said, "I wouldn't drink it out of here if I was you." 4 of them pissed in it and put it back on the table.
Well, that reminds me of remember I keep mentioning about the detective. Well, on one of the episodes, the detectives they go to the policeman's ball, and they've all been puking up in the punch bowl, and the chief inspector he says, "Well, I even overdid it on the punch."
Well, it's funny, but near the end of the evening, people were taking this punch. They go, funny faces, and the liquid at the bottom was getting more and more yellow and murky. Oh.
We're really plumbing the depths this evening, gentlemen, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
But this requisitioning our brain. By the way, Mark Mantis says John Pilger is sadly missed. He was a real journalist, wasn't he?
Mm.
And
I guess we've kind of lost touch with that era because Tinternet has just taken over. I don't know what newspaper sales are like anymore. I've always liked the idea of newspapers. I just never really liked much of what was in them. And of course, the history of the newspapers is pretty much the same as Tinternet. So, certainly, I think probably on both sides of the pond, we had lots of independent papers in the 1800s when I guess printing presses became reasonably cost effective to get hold of them, certainly for sort of groups of industrialists or whatever, get hold of these things and buy one. And so you had all this massive independent press in the States because it's such a massive country. And so these local papers, like, for California, would have a huge readership. And they developed all these different idiosyncratic journalistic styles, which is wonderful, really, if you're into all that kind of stuff. But of course, they morphed into falling into fewer and fewer hands. Then the same thing has happened to the film industry. And the same thing has now happened to Tinternet, because it was absolutely amazing from about 96 to 2012. Those first 15, 18 years of it, I thought were absolutely brilliant. And it was like a sort of an Aladdin's cave of mad, crazy knowledge and all sorts of stuff. And,
it was.
And nobody worried about VPNs, did they? Or getting hacked. That was something that they hadn't created then to create the old protection racket. That's all these things are. You give me a computer and you don't protect me against this stuff. You're crap. Why should I pay more for it? Oh, no, you've got to. So it's just, that's the Microsoft model, isn't it? Oh, we found a bug. Yeah, of course you have.
And I still use Serif software because it's bloody good software. Seriously, I still use it. And it's about
those were days. Still have a pipe.
20 years ago, bloody solid. Yeah, that's lovely old.
What was that great bit of what was that DTP thing? Desktop publishing thing. That Quark Express. Is that still going? That was awesome.
Do you remember the old Amstrad computers with the green screen? And you used to have and you used to have the old printers where you put the paper on the sprockets through, and you'd send.
I love paper on sprockets. They're great.
It spent about 20 minutes printing off one page, and it was always on green and white lined paper. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh, I loved that stuff. Yeah, we used to get data sheets through with all that kind of stuff. Dot wheel, dot matrix printers or whatever they were called, something like that. But again,
and then we had
because it was more sort of labour or energy intensive to produce documents prior to laser printers, writing was more succinct and clearer. It was. Also, the constraints of newspaper columns caused them to find the best writers who could get the point across as quickly as possible without being a complete pig behind a typewriter. You know what I mean? Now, everybody just goes, I'll send you my 342-page report. What? Can you not write something? No. It's automated gibberish now, and nobody can make head and tail of it. Can you just sit down for a week and read that? No, I can't actually. Tell me now, immediately.
Did you ever see your grandparents writing? Because my granddad and grandmother, and my mother wrote a little bit like that. Wrote in what is called copper plate. which was like a kind of beautiful, flourishing handwriting. It really was flourishing, beautiful, and they're all taught how to write like that. And my grandmother wrote
Yeah.
like it as well. It's beautiful writing. I mean, it really was.
Cursive writing.
That's
Yeah,
it,
I
yes.
think it's good. Yeah, there's something about. I mean, I was writing something today with a pen and, on my pad and stuff, and I haven't done cursive writing. I've been printing writing for a long time. I just print it out, and I'm thinking.
Well, you were in
that's
the
really
drawing
good.
office, weren't you? And everybody's been in the drawing office. Prints. You just
Yeah.
get used to it.
And do you find
You
find
do,
that
and you get into
doodle in the
fonts,
pad
don't you? I
and-
love
Yeah.
fonts when they're good.
Yeah.
Fonts communicate something. I remember when I first sort of stumbled across this, I just type, right? No, they're different fonts. Are they? They've been in front of you your entire life. And then you see the way newspapers get
Times
designed.
New Roman, that was the one. Times
It
New Roman.
was
usually.
Garamond. I became
Garamond.
quite partial to Garamond.
And do you
was
remember
quite nice.
Letraset? Letraset. that's
Oh
gone now.
yes, yeah.
Yes.
Rubbing it. It was great fun, was Letraset. You used to just go and buy it to sort of just stick it on
Yeah.
things on your school books and stuff. Yeah, it was good.
But do you just find
God,
that,
we're
well,
old.
that you do a doodling in your pad, and the doodles were far better than the artist could ever do. I mean, you could start off with just a line, and within 10 or 15 minutes, it'd be a work of art, wouldn't it? It'd be an entire car or
Well-
plane or
Hmm.
something brilliant. And
Well,
just quickly, while
that's right.
we were talking about old machines. Faxes were faxes not the best thing to piss off somebody you didn't like at work? When if you always had somebody in your office that really annoyed everybody, so then you go and get their phone number and send a fax to it, which would then ring them about 20 times and get a real loud screech down the phone. No, we need fax machines back in Fockham because fax machines are brilliant. Just to
They
piss
are
somebody off
brilliant.
you don't like.
Yes. Yes.
The Fockham Fax Bureau.
Fockham Fax.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But when I had a fax machine, I had bloody junk mail being sent through. So I'd be fast asleep and suddenly get bzz, 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 bzz. About 2 o'clock in the morning, someone trying to sell you, I don't know, crap. And I had to unplug the bleeding fax machine every night. And if I forgot, I'd be woken up in the early hours because it is in the next room. It sounded like a sort of pregnant wasp. But now, what was
We
it?
won't see those days again.
Well, Arthur Scargill's hair, this is DJ B2 says, was stole
yeah.
by shredded wheat. Yes.
It was amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he always looked to me as if he had a cucumber up his arse because he used to stand there and he always used to say, I can say quite categorically, brothers, that blah, 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 blah. But unfortunately, he was correct with his predictions. He said they would destroy the coal industry, and they have. Because, I think that who should have been in charge of the coal industry was, who was that bloke with the steam engines? Fred Dibner. He'd have been bloody brilliant, he would.
Well, if you could have put up with all those guys in suits, that's the problem. It just gets top heavy with the kind of clever dick from university who has to justify their position and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying they're all bad, but there's definitely a sort of subculture of that kind of thing running around. And coal-fired power stations are brilliant. Particularly, I know that there are sprays, certain sort of chemical compounds that don't cost much to make, where you can cover the coal or the coke before it goes into the furnace, right, with this stuff. And it reduces the nasties, whatever they may be, but I accept that they are. You don't want tons of smoke everywhere if you can possibly not have it. It takes like 99% of all the shit out of it. You
That's
can't
right.
even tell. And it doesn't cost much. So...
This-
And the coal seams that we've got over here would keep us going. I mean, they've said that thing in Wales. There's enough coal there to keep this country in energy for 400 years.
That's
The
right.
problem is that what we want is we've got to get rid of these arseholes for 400 years. That's much more difficult. The interfering bit do-gooder. We've got to... Do you know how much carbon dioxide there is in the atmosphere? Do you know how much? Do you know what the percentage is?
Bugger
Any
all.
idea?
I think it's 0.001%, something like that.
It's 0.04%.
It's bugger all.
Yeah,
Well, the thing is, the more
it is.
carbon
It's
dioxide we got, the
four
better we are.
1/100ths of a percent. Of 1%.
The more carbon dioxide we've got on this realm, the more lush it would be.
Of course.
And our local power station, before they demolished it, they converted it to run on biomass, which is basically wood chippings,
Mhm.
and they used to send them down by the trainload at one time a day. But I still think the power stations are a smoke screen. to make you think the power station's generating the electricity when it actually comes from the pylons and not the power stations. Because the power stations have gone, but the pylons still go to where the power station used to be.
Could be. I mean, it might be a combination of the two. They may have picked up lots of free electricity from that, and maybe it was just a thing to actually keep lots of men engaged in hard physical labour and do certain things down in mines. I would never want to be a miner. I mean, I just thought it would change your mind, wouldn't it? You'd think differently.
It
you
would,
just would. You know, it's tough. It's tough and horrible
take
work.
Your pick, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that with the coal as well, that our steam locomotives will only work on British sourced coal. When they closed all our mines down, they started importing coal from Russia, and the steam locomotives are in preservation and on the main line on charts and stuff were failing because our locomotives weren't designed to take the crap that was coming across from Russia. But they liked the coal that we mined here. Don't know why or what was different, but we didn't like it.
Proper English and Scottish and Welsh coal. That's what it is.
Well, we would be if they use their noddle, we would be not only self-supporting in energy, we could actually have mass transportation in this country on empty-ish roads because if they use their noddle, if Beeching hadn't have cut all the railways in 1963, they would have done what they do on, as you're saying, on the continent where most of their stuff goes by rail, not by road. And we would have had steam lorries that would have got more and more advanced. We'd have had oil fired steam trains.
I think, I think this whole of this sort of interdependence thing that they brought about between nations so that the nations can't survive without being dependent on the others, which means that therefore there's a middleman to do all the regulatory stuff and they get paid a wage and then they're in control of everything, the administrative class, as it were. I mean, one of the things that goes along with that is that you've got many nations, maybe it's less so in Germany simply because of the amount of cars they've produced, but whatever you were producing goes off for export. You end up using a similar device but made from somewhere else, and this impairs your sense of national pride. It was, people would say Sheffield Steel. It's still there, I think, some of the steelworks, but they've even sold that to foreign owners and everything. Nothing is owned by us. So one of the tasks of the government would be to sort all that out. And say, we've got a 10-year phase-out program, and you're going to have to relinquish this because this is our home. And, we are not the previous governments. We don't agree with anything that they've done because they, like you, are vermin. And we're here to tidy up this shithole. And, of course, we then get bombed. I mean, literally, that's what I think would happen. Right? Any sort of country that seeks to break away from this thing, they use the other countries around, threaten them with even worse collapse if they don't pick on the one that's causing the trouble. It's kind of what happened to Germany, right?
Well, if you think
that's right.
Well, if you think about all the industry that they took away from us, I mean, like the steelworks is just one of them, isn't it? I don't know if Scunthorpe Steelworks is still there, but that used to get. It wasn't just the amount of people it employed as within the actual steelworks. It was also the fact that you had trains coming in from Immingham with coal to fire the furnaces. You'd have iron ore trains that would bring in iron ore to the smelters. And then you'd have the trains taking the rolled coils out across the entire country, and there's so much that we've lost on the back of just. I mean, the steel industry is just one of them. I mean, we used to have like Ravenscraig and Scunthorpe and Demarsh, and Demarsh is still there, but Lanwern's gone, Port Talbot's gone.
But these men had skills. But that skills
used to employ
that's right.
Thousands and thousands of people. And also the infrastructure that came with it, so all the railways, all the trains you used to get on the back of that was employing people. You had yards, you had depots. It's such a massive knock-on effect when when these tossers close steelworks. It's not just the steelworks that lose out; it's everything. I mean, Scunthorpe, for example, or if you prefer, or a bit further north up towards Redcar and places like that, you had a massive freight yard at Thornaby and Tees Yard where they used to basically handle effectively just steel, potash, that sort of thing, and they've all gone. The depots have gone, the locos have gone, the wagons have gone, every aspect. And yet and yet everything we see, when you look at all the stuff that they've chucked away, basically on the back of wanting to make things more
Yeah, but I don't
efficient
think.
and
I mean, I know
that-
what you mean, Paul. I don't think the two are linked anymore. I think the idea of so-called GDP and all that being linked to the price of things is. I don't know whether those things are still connected. I know they say they are. You'll probably get some economic professor to sort of fall about laughing at what I've just said, but there seems to be. There's something artificial about the whole thing. I've often felt that we've actually handled everything. We handled food 100 years ago. We've handled production of stuff. We've handled loads of stuff. But as C.H. Douglas said in the 1910s and 1920s, you've got this bizarre situation, and it's never changed, where guys that actually produce a thing are not paid sufficient or given sufficient purchasing power to buy the very thing they just built. They can't get one, and they built the bloody thing. And that's by design. If you've got a highly productive nation, what does it need a bureaucratic class for? It doesn't need one. This is the thing. In other words, the parasite mentality has to create a causative reason to exist. So it interferes with the productive people to make sure that they're always in a state of mild to escalating anxiety and distress, so that they can rock up the next day and say, we'll solve this for you. Oh, thanks, they all say, because nobody knows what caused it in the first place. It's the same bastards that are about to take it over. It is ridiculous. Even computers, I'm banged on about this before. If computers were used properly, there would be no problem, for example, in issuing everybody in this nation with a certificate in the Bank of England. The administrative costs would be peanuts. It doesn't cost anything much. We built all this stuff, but you're not allowed to use it for your benefit. You've got to be in a big line, and you've got to be at the end, so that we are always put in a position where we pay for their mistakes, and their mistakes are intentional
and
they want
wasteful.
Yeah,
Waste is a thing.
Absolutely, and they're designed to do that. They want to do that to create these dramas that they can report on, and everybody goes, "Oh yeah." It's to keep everybody herded under a false series of crises. All these crises are false. They're bogus. We put a man on the moon, don't you? I saw it on TV. It must have been true. But if you just look at things like ocean-going liners from 100 years ago and stuff, you go, holy crap, look at the stuff that we can build. Are we allowed to build it? No, some bureaucratic, skullduggerous, Fabianistic thing is in the way, always, because, we know what's better for the masses. They don't. They just know what's better for themselves, and they just... Anyway, there's nothing new with this. This is not new. It was all the way back in ancient Rome as well. This is just a common thing, unfortunately.
What we've destroyed, though, is skills that have been passed through generations, father to son. For example, Sheffield Steel. They had craftsmen there that could make things out of steel. They were really fantastic what they did. That's gone now. We haven't got those skills are dead. The blokes have retired and they've long gone. And for example, miners were exceptionally skilled. They knew, about mines. It's very technical mining, and it got even more technical. Those skills have gone. So if we opened up our mines again, we'd have to import or get people from overseas who know about mining, because we've lost those skills. Mm-hmm. And this is what these stupid bureaucrats don't understand. Now, for example,
they're destroying us, aren't they, Eric? In the same way that Fabian, you got to say that as a military tactic, it makes a lot of sense. You don't need to have battles. When you look at it, if you look at how, for example, how an army operates, or any sort of military section of the military, whether it's air or whatever, there's a whole chain of logistics. You interfere with that, and the fighting force can't fight. If there's no food, if there's no bullets rocking up at 4:30 in the afternoon, fight's over. It's done. You better not start if you're going to run out of bullets or whatever it is that you need. So that's where that agency got in. It's like the middleman controls everything in this space. They can't be turned over.
That's right. And look at those steelworks. It wasn't only the steelworks. It was cafes that fed the workers. It was pubs that sold booze. They were all work that people could do. There's loads of other shops. I mean, if you look at that, remember Bonnie Barker's Open All Hours? That was a typical corner shop where people bought their goods. Now, without the local, whatever it was, shipyards or whatever, those corner shops just sold up. So you had more people. And again, this is Fabianism. You reliant on the government. When people were reliant upon themselves at one time.
My dad sold to a lot of those sorts of corner shops. He had hundreds and hundreds of customers on his round across Yorkshire and Lincolnshire and parts of Lancashire and stuff like that. And he was serving, I suppose in America they call them mom and pop stores, but he always came home with lots of tales, and they always used to give him lunch for nothing, and he'd bring some interesting vinegar back from Clachuddersfax or wherever it was, and things like this. That was just the way of life back then. I'm not saying that therefore it meant it was great or anything like that, but my dad seemed to be quite up on it. There seemed to be a role for all sorts of people, and that's gone. Of course, we've got this capacity to do so much now. We have, the information revolution is, even now, I guess it's not fully decided. But if you know everything that's going to happen logistically, and you can really micromanage things, which we can, and there's very little cost in the administration of that. You couldn't have afforded to. You need battalions of people with pens, right, before all this stuff came around. You're in a tremendously powerful situation, and it's changed the way of life. And so maybe the question is, do we want to live and all go back and go mining? I don't think you'd find many people that were even miners would want to do that, to be quite honest. It's easy to sort of look at the whole thing. But
the thing is, though, that they got mining down to such a fine art. They was using robots, and there was. I mean, you didn't find people curled up at the coal face with a pickaxe like years ago. No, robots did that. It was very, very high tech. This country had the most advanced coal industry in the world.
Actually, Eric. There might still be some of it kicking around. I know there's a coal seam up in Selby that stretches out into, is it the North Sea up there? I don't know. This is up in Yorkshire. Is it the North Sea or the English Channel all the way up there? Whatever it is, it's absolutely enormous. It's as big as all the coal in Wales. That's 800 years of energy. So, it's just vast. There's tons of it. And there's all sorts of other ways to make energy. We don't have to burn coal. It might seem a bit prehistoric now. I'm not saying that we should do that. But it wouldn't matter what we use. They would interfere with it no matter what to make it less effective so that they've got a reason to fix a problem that shouldn't exist and wouldn't exist. As Dibner said, men in overalls built this country and men in suits destroyed it. And that's still going on.
But how do these politicians...
Look at the car industry we used to have. The car industry used to have the last one was Rover. Obviously, Rover was probably one of our biggest car manufacturers, and all the suppliers and all the rest of it that would supply the parts for such a place. And the area where in Longbridge where Rover used to be was absolutely vast.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they closed, they demolished it all down, and now it's all houses. But there's no industry for the people who live in those houses then to go to. And of course those industries were all community based, so we had the community that we're trying to get back to where we're all in a community. That's all again, that's all.
But they don't want us to be in a community, do they? You see, they don't want half of it. It'll be to do with the planning of urban areas and all this, that and the other. And the collapse of the motor industry will have been by design as well, and morph it over to Germany. And now they're collapsing all the industries in Europe to move it to China by design. I think I've droned on about it. The guy that taught me about banking, I remember 30 years ago, it would be 1996, he said they're going to move everything to China. It's taken 30 years or whatever. But China wasn't a big deal in the mid-90s. Nobody was really talking about it the way they have done the last 20 years. But that's exactly what's happened. Because they look to effectively subjugate countries that they've used. They don't want you finding out what they've done and being strong enough to come back and punch them in the face. Because a lot of people do know what's going on, but they're paid off and this, that, and the other. Anyway, there's no point grumbling. There's just only so much that we can do. We can describe it, but whether we can affect it, I don't really know.
Did you know that the most successful car was the Austin 7? They produced that until 1939, and they were using the same machines in the 1970s as they had pre-war, using clapped out, worn out machines to build cars. And like the Maxi and things like that, whilst Japan and Germany have got robot type machines turning cars out at a fraction of the price.
Mm-hmm.
We just couldn't compete because there's no investment in the industry.
That's what we're told, Eric, isn't it? I mean, it's almost not possible to know what the real true story is. So that you get these cover stories in newspapers. And maybe there was some basis on economic performance, but seeing as how we live under a system where they use currency, which is of infinite supply to them, You see, it's this thing about inflation and stuff. You look at people, a lot of people are sitting around not doing much. Apparently, I don't know, 40% of everybody that could be working is sitting around getting handouts from the government. And yet okay, the last 4 or 5 years have been crap price-wise for loads and loads of people, but they don't even report on that anymore in the way they used to. I remember inflation was a massive deal in the 70s and the 80s on the TV all the time. There was a lot of anxiety about it. It was as if what we did still had some bearing in the sort of economic world. But since then, since computerization or whatever, it's like it all appears fake and sort of bogus to me. I can't.
That's right.
No one sort of can really take it seriously. There's something. It's as if we've got so much capacity that it's just a big fairy story about our plight. I mean, I know it's real as well. I'm not saying it's not like that, but there's something unreliable about the reports that we receive. They're not sound.
I think you've got a point there. And I'll tell you something else I've noticed, and you've probably noticed this, when you go shopping at weekdays, the amount of working-age men that are around in the shops, where once upon a time, during the weekdays, there was no men around. There's only women that shopped. And
out buying the veggies for the family supper
on Saturday, and that's why Saturdays were always packed at the shops, because it was blokes out with their wives on Saturday.
Yeah, the wife buying him a suit for the family do.
Yes.
And dragging her poor husband around and wanted to get home and put that bookshelf up. All right, we'll go.
Yeah. Oh, crumbs, yes. Oh, Heather Redheb is on here. She says, glad to be back. Well, that's good, isn't it? She's glad to be back. For some reason, the algorithms have kicked this channel out for a while. Yeah, no, I've taken ointment for that. And Eric, my first and second cars were minors. Excellent. Morris Minor owners. Yes. And as I said before, my one's still on the road. Here we come.
Yeah.
If you got run over by that type of car, would you end up with minor injuries?
Oh dear.
Oh, that's really lovely, that. Oh, it really is. Anyway, they were probably singing songs like this back then, you see, they were.
Yes. Well, this is, 30s, and we had a car industry then, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
That joke from Mike Mantis.
Was it, my sister hasn't been well lately. This is Mike Mantis. She suffers from hay fever and diabetes. I do my best to cheer her up with flowers and chocolates.
Eat more fruit.
You have been listening to Fockham Hall with Eric Von Essex. Remember, whatever you do, have a bloody good laugh.
And it's good night to Food for Thought.
All across the British Isles, something is changing, and our communities are coming together and making things happen.
Yeah, that'll go, though, in a second.
It's just gone.
It's not manure, then.
No. But they're really pushing their manure, and they can deliver it through your letterbox, can't they? Is that right? They're just, we deliver in the early hours through your letterbox. So that's nice, isn't it? And talking about that, I worked with a bloke that used to live near Horse Guards. Is it Horse Guards Parade, something like that? What's a place where
in London?
Yeah, in London, Horse Guards. Anyway, where all horses are and the guards are. And what they used to do with the kids was scrape up some, which there was plenty of it, manure from the horses, put it into a brown paper bag, and stick it on someone's step who they didn't like, catch light to it, and ring the doorbell. And 9 times out of 10, some poor soul will come to the door, probably in their slippers, and see this on fire and try and put it out, a foot full of dog poo or horse droppings or whatever. Yeah. But allegedly, this chap told me that there was always seeing Cliff Richard with guardsmen in his car around that area. Allegedly. So he said. Don't know. Could have been a Cliff Richard lookalike. Who knows? No.
Was he wired for sound?
Oh dear. Oh dear. Now, DJ B2 says, when I write with a pen, I write with a disposable fountain pen. Disposable fountain pen? Is there such a thing? I've never heard of one. Have you ever heard of it? Really?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I mean, I used to be able to get left-handed fountain pens. I think it was it Osmoroid or Platinum made left-handed ones. but
Oh,
they
me
come down-
osmoroids.
Oh, got me osmoroids because I
That's-
know.
Osmoroids,
Forgot about
asteroids, hemorrhoids.
Yes. Oh dear, oh Lord. Mike Mantis says, my dad's a redhead. He isn't ginger. He's got really high blood pressure. Sorry.
You need an evening where Mike Mantis is on here just doing jokes.
It's the
Yeah.
Mike Mantis show. Yeah, absolutely.
I just wonder, was he a stand-up comedian? I just wonder what he was. But no, the funniest time with my uncles was when that film came out about what was that affair in the early 60s? Portillo, not Portillo. Oh crumbs, what's his name there? Name on the tip of my tongue. They made a film about it, and it was about Christine Keeler. And it was not Port. No, it's nothing to do with Portillo. It's anyway, as an MP that was sleeping with prostitutes, allegedly, and my uncle's had a bleeding field day at that one.
Yeah, I can see his face, and I can't recall his name. I'm getting terrible at names now. My hard drive's full. That's it.
Yes, mine is.
I'm absolutely full. I ain't got enough RAM to retrieve it.
It starts with P, doesn't it? I think it does. And apparently he actually paid his bit back to society because he worked at a hall.
Yeah, he did a good deed. He became very well liked for what he'd done.
Well, he helped people who were really poor as anything.
Profumo
with their legal cases.
Not Perfumo.
Well, I knew an architect that knew him.
Profumo, but not Perfumo.
That's right.
Yeah.
And taxis wouldn't stop for him. And so this architect, had to rush out, grab a taxi, and Perfumo would be hiding around a corner and just rush straight into the taxi because that's how patriotic people were in those days. But Perfumo did a lot. Was it Toynbee Hall in the East End for the poor and the underdogs?
Yes, somewhere.
And apparently he did the washing up and everything. He rolled his sleeves up. So there we go. Now it says, Exo says, do you want to know the letter about overdraft interest I had in the post today? And if it fell over when it went into compound interest amounts over last year. Well, that's how the banks make their money, isn't it? Off of just making money out of money out of money. Now, what we got here? But the thing is going back to requisitioning your brain, people are easily led. And I've found this time and time again that when you think about it, how did they start World War I and World War II? By people that are being easily led. And people being rather gullible in many ways. And what I was saying on Telegram today, I don't know if you noticed that item, of how people in the 30s, Mr. H was the darling of the press. And they were praising him all the time. Then almost overnight, he became an evil specimen. And people would regurgitate what it says in the press. They didn't think for themselves. Isn't that strange? Almost overnight. Weird.
Well, that's still the same thing now, isn't it? People aren't. A lot of people don't think for themselves, and they need everything done for them. They have to be told how to do things, like manners and things like that. Let people off the train first. They even put a little thing now on the platform. Sorry to bring it onto trains briefly, telling you where the door will be, because people can't work out how to use them. It's the same with like the likes of Starbucks and places like that, where people have to go in their car to go and get a cup of coffee because they don't know how to use a flaming kettle back home to make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. It's that they're trying to take away every aspect of being able to think for yourself.
Yes.
Everything's done for you.
Well, it's like this health and safety thing. I mean, if you're old enough to remember Blue Peter, which was a show for children's television, there's a chap called John Noakes, and he climbed up went to Trafalgar Square, climbed up the what's named column there, Nelson's column, and he had flared trousers on, no safety harness, no safety helmet, and his flares withering flapping in the breeze, and he just had a ladder that was sort of going backwards and forwards, a bit like Fred Dibner. You went right up to the top, and apparently the cameraman, the film went wrong, so they had to film it all again. But no safety harness, no health and safety at all. Unbelievable.
Didn't Winnie Mandela climbing up Nelson's column? Sorry.
I know
There you go. I've lowered the tone again for you. It's past 10 o'clock.
Well, Winnie Mandela, I think she got things wrong because she used to mix cross ply with radial tires, didn't she? Because she didn't the necklaces a lot on fire. Now it says here, Mike Mantis says 50% of people will go to watch The Cure actually ended up watching Placebo and enjoy it just as much. So dear. And Alice Gorgeous says Auntie Mary had a canary up the leg of her drawers. When she farted, it departed. Yes, I've heard that one. Yes, very nice. And the Dubliners actually sung that once. I used to work.
Actually, do we have anybody in chat who's good at limericks? Limericks. We used to have the old limericks. Remember the old limericks?
Well, now Heather Redhead said, "Don't worry, taking it as a joke. I used to work for the railways for 20 odd years. Hate what they've done to it. Yes, it's
complete shadow of what it is, what it used to be.
Well, what got me is you have to have a degree in accountancy to understand their bloody timetables and how to get from A to B cheaply. Because I went up to a UK column meeting all years ago, about 15 odd years ago, at Stoke-on-Trent, and bloody Nora, is it me or is going by rail extremely complicated? Or is it me?
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, but it is.
But the health and safety rule it all. I mean, I can remember years ago where if I got the train back from Birmingham, for example, and it was the London Euston train, so you have an electric locomotive on as far as Wolverhampton, and they'd take the electric locomotive off. Somebody climbed between the locomotive and the coaches, uncouple the electric locomotive, put the diesel on. And that was such a simple thing. It's probably slightly dangerous. Obviously, if you make a mistake, you're dead. But the people who used to put the locomotives on knew what they were doing. Health and safety stepped in and said, "Oh, you can't do that anymore." So now they have to run like freight trains, for example, go miles and miles out of their way to get themselves pointing in the right direction in order to save the run around of a locomotive. So I'll give you an example. Before they closed Ironbridge Power Station, I photographed one of the last biomass trains, which started its journey in Warrington. And in order to get down to Ironbridge Power Station, it had to go past Madeley Junction, which was the junction to go down there. And then it was circled all the way around Birmingham and all the way back, so the locomotive was pointing the right way. And yeah, years ago they would have just pulled that train into the siding by Madeley Junction, ran the loco around, and gone down to the power station. It's as per what Heather was saying there. It's every aspect has been taken away, and it's all health and safety driven, and it doesn't need to be.
Well, I agree with some health and safety because we do need some health and safety, but it's gone over the top. It's like what I saw today about them shutting off part of the bloody road because they're digging up a pavement, for Christ's sake. They didn't need to. That type of thing. No. Now, Pablo says, I was taught cursive writing before printing when I was 5 years old in Australia. Australia used to be the place to be, didn't it? They had one of the best education systems. And Mike Mantis says, and I think I missed one of his gags, he said, "I'm never jogging behind a council van in winter ever again," he said through gritted teeth. Yes. Now, Mike Mantis says, the old cars were the best. They had character and you could fix them using a Haynes manual. That's right. Yes. Well, I'm the only person around where I live that services my own cars. Nobody else services their own car. They also.
It needs to get back to that.
Yeah,
it really does. I think most of us would rather see us get back to the analog period or go back to sort of the 80s and perhaps the early 90s, where people knew how to fix things. And like we were saying last night, your local town would have your TV repairman, you'd have
that's right,
your car salesman and your car repair place, and everything was within your local area, wasn't it? Rather than like it is now, it's all like national companies now, like Halfords and people like that. They've taken away the character of your local towns, every town.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
bad.
I think we're obviously we're talking about serious symptoms of a major disease, aren't we? And it's whether we can muster ourselves to find a way to overthrow all
that's
the
right.
stuff. I've been in rather sort of sober mood over the weekend with all this kind of stuff. I don't know why. I can go for sort of a couple of months feeling, really positive about things. Well, not really positive, but relatively, optimistic about certain things. And then every now and again, I almost like have to take a break and just look at things and go, we really are in the doo-doo. And it's a big deal. And I think the sooner everybody stops looking to the government. I mean, I actually think politics are important in the sense that it might give us some more time. It's not the solution by any means. I mean, but if somebody can slow it down a bit, but it's whether anybody is interested in doing anything to actually turn it around. And I still think that local communities are the way to go because I can't think of anything else at the moment.
I
So that's
agree.
kind of it.
I agree. But I think, let's put it another way. When you're on your back, the only place to go is upwards, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
think about it. So I've got a feeling something will happen that we least expect. Because
Well, I think it's going to take
play out.
people like us, if not us, to make those things happen. I think it's got to come from somewhere. Even all the opposition is kind of bogus, Tommy Robinson and all this other nonsense to me. Most of it is, and everybody's so good now at delineating the problem. Okay, great, we've got it. Now what's needed is an action plan to begin to reverse it. So, and I think it might come out of left field because it's not something that will logically occur. I think something different has got to happen. And most people don't have a full understanding of really what they're involved with. They just understandably only see the symptoms at the front end. So those are the things to appeal, unfortunately, to people on. They won't solve it long term, but they might give people a bit of respite every now and again. And I think the use of words is really, I know it sounds boring as hell, but I really think it's important. This is just to get our language sorted out and to talk about repatriation or remigration for 8, 9, 10 million Muslims or whatever. And if they allow the call to prayer to start taking place across England, that might blow a fuse, but I'm not even optimistic about that. Because if people are subdued right in the pit of their being, it's like they're not going to... That's the thing is an attitude of outrage. They're not outraged enough. No. Some of us are, but not enough people are absolutely outraged or want to commit their life to turn it around. They just go, it doesn't matter, I'll leave it to everybody else. And I'm afraid that's the death knell.
But they've got no pride because the work that's out there now... I mean, when you look at what jobs, they call it jobs. No, it used to be careers. They changed the word from career to jobs. And what is it? A job is a task that you have to do, whereas a career was something that you probably enjoyed. And all there is what?
I think we need a vision, Eric. I know it sounds a bit sort of idealistic, and I think in much of our conversation, one is expressed, if not directly. I think they're really, there's lots of. You could say, well, let's work on removing one problem, and there's the bank's the biggest problem without a doubt. If you don't fix that, you can't fix anything in a lasting fashion. It'll just come back until that one's dealt with. But it's such a big one because all the people that even might want the country back are also more. 50% of them is attached to receiving more purchasing power, and it just warps everything. People have become currency addicts to a great degree. They don't think of it like that. So, if people's immediate sort of self-interest is threatened, it's not possible to actually get them attached to a vision. It's almost as if literally everything's got to be taken from everybody before they'll do anything. The problem with that is that they'll have no resources left to do anything. That'll be the bit that will wake them up.
They've actually... people have got no pride because they've got no career. They've got nothing. I mean, I'd hate to be leaving school now and try to get on working life, because when you look around, I've noticed that in these places like fast food restaurants and things like that, it's all teenagers who can't get work anywhere else. And some of them are very educated. It's very, very sad. They come out of university and there's no work for them. But Mike Mantis has said, Suggs just asked me what my preferred pronouns are. Honestly, it's madness gone politically correct. Sorry. that's Mike Mantis.
Yeah. Eric, I'm going to bid you farewell for the evening. I'm a bit bushed. It's
I'm exactly the same. I cycled a long way today, and I'm a bit knackered. And I'm more than a bit knackered. You probably hear it in my voice because my saddle was not fitted correctly, so it's giving me a bad bum.
There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse.
Yeah. So there we go.
Notice you were talking a bit high. Your voice was a bit high pitched.
Well, first of all, I got on the racer, and I the front tire, because it hasn't been. I can explain. There's a bump on it, so it goes. It's like something out of the Bleeding Flintstones. It was. So so a bit of a day of it. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight. Everybody in chat, everybody in the studio. Thanks, both Pauls. And Paul, what you got coming up this Thursday at 8 o'clock on Rumble?
I think we've got Michelle and Maribel are coming on.
Maribel. Oh, those two ladies.
Michelle and Maribel. These are the two ladies who've been taken to the effing cleaners by the legal profession, and it taps into that. So they're going to be half the show, if not 2/3 of it, through till 10 o'clock, I think, but much like the format last week. And then I don't know, I'm dragging on for the last hour. Maybe a greengrocer from Bolton, if they've still got any left. No, I don't know at the moment, but I've got tomorrow to sort that out, so we'll have something on. But yeah, that's kind of what's lined up for this week. Yeah. Yeah, well, they should be quite good. They've got a hair-raising story to tell, really, and it's
really. I look forward to that. That really does sound interesting. Could it happen to anybody?
Yeah, it's something that people need to be aware of. They're basically it's like the mafia cartel of the law gang, just taking stuff off people, like huge amounts of land and houses and property and all sorts of stuff. Yes. It's just a complete racket. The whole thing. It's just allegedly. It's so we'll find out from them. But they've got quite a story to tell, I think. Yeah.
And 2027, banks now, it's law that they've got to tell the government what savings you've got, and the interest of those savings. Because it's only the limit, was it 12,000 or something pounds? Pensioners and loads of people are going to be taxed on their savings, the interest from their savings, because it's about £12,000 you're allowed tax free, and most people are well over that. So you're going to have to pay several £100s if you've got lots of savings. So get it out the bank.
I think this is one of these areas where we've got to look at our language and how this is me, right? How to describe these situations, because there's no shortage of sort of bad things like that are coming along that get everybody's attention, understandably so. But I tend to the view that our status is, of course, assumed by them. That's not even the right word. But we're in a system that we are not fully knowledgeable about. All we're bothered about is the effects it has on us, and we'd rather not bother with it. But unfortunately, it's very bothered with us, and it interferes with everything. And I think there is a way through. I know there is. I just can't see it clearly myself just yet. And there's a massive communications challenge to demystify all these so-called legal processes and everything, to expose the fact that they're in breach of stuff. We do have to. I know it sounds, everybody doesn't know what to do with this, but we have to go back to Magna Carta. We've got to go back to common law. And by going back, I mean it's employed. We're actively acting in alignment with that and writing letters off and prosecuting these people who've been abusing us. And so it's getting some kind of a force together, the peasants' bureaucracy, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a terrible word, but that's what's required. It's administrators and grinders through this material. Their Achilles' heel is in there. You can feel it, and instead of us describing, I think, the woeful things that we are about to endure at their hand, our response needs to be changed. It needs to be something quite different, so that when they issue these edicts, we point out to them quite clearly they don't have the power for that, and they're going to be prosecuted. They've got to be put on notice. Maybe that's the wrong phrase as well, but we have to find a way to fight back. So because they're bullying us, and their contempt for us will only increase the longer it goes on without us fighting back. It's like at school. The kid that doesn't fight back continues to get bullied. Even if you fight back and get beat up in the process, they won't pick on you again because you're too much trouble. We are a pushover. We're not trouble enough. And that's what's needed.
Right. And I think taking over the BBC with the Be Your Best thing, let the staff out but not in. and we broadcast.
There is that, but there's also building up the Fockham Hole Times. There's a lot of work to do.
There is.
It's not paid, and this is why people go, do I get paid for this? Oh, well, if there's any money, you can pick it up and have it. I can give a crap because we don't want any more currency. This is part of the problem. You go, oh, well, I get paid all this currency. Yeah, well, it's not going to help.
But
we've got to kick the habit. You see,
we've got
it's a
to
bad
laugh
habit.
at them and keep laughing at them.
Yeah.
And there's not enough satire. Because you look at a lot of this truth stuff, it gives you manic depression. And I think that we've got to just literally...
Yeah, it becomes its own predictive programming, Eric.
Well,
that's what I was just
right.
saying about the sentences. We've got to, I include myself, the sentences that are coming out of our mouths are not helping us. What we're doing is we're confirming our own bias, and we're using their language, which means, what's that phrase? We've ingested the command structure of the enemy. And we're operating in line with what they want. Yeah. So when people say, I'm going to resist them, I've said for years, you don't do that. We're not here to resist them. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to restore our way of life and make them irrelevant. They're not worthy of our attention. We've got to find this way of, in other words, you've got to hold them with one arm whilst you're building something with the other. Yeah. And all we're generally doing at the moment is just stand there like rabbits in the headlights going, oh, they're about to do this, they're about to do that. And they're just laughing. I would. You know what it's like when someone don't fight back? You actually begin to resent people that don't fight back. It encourages the bully. And I actually think, I was thinking the other day, I could be completely wrong about this, but it's kind of a natural law. Nature wants us all to man up, quite naturally. And you will be faced with things that push you if you don't. And once you start to respond in a positive way, it stops almost immediately because you discover something in yourself. You go, hey, I actually can defend my interests here. And I think it's finding these tools in language. We can win with language if we muster the right... It sounds gay, doesn't it, almost? It sounds absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. When push comes to shove, they will start sticking the boot in. They absolutely will.
I can't wait to see people like Hancock in jail, sort of in handcuffs, in court, televised, and really having the book thrown at him, quite honestly. And a lot of these bastards.
I still think we are winning, and we've got to be positive about it. I mean, I think a lot of it we have to let this play out, because I still think their system is collapsing. I do believe what I observe when I'm out and about. Their system is definitely falling apart, and I guess it has to play itself out for us then to start building what we actually
it's got this one has got. There is going to be a new world order. There's only going actually, I'm not bothered about the world really, although I am. I'd like it to all be at peace, but there's going to be a new national order around here. That's what we need, and it's really a restoration of all the best bits from the old good ones. They've never been perfect. There's always been a mess because people have got different views about what's important and this, that, and the other. But that we've got some tools that people are still not. We've definitely got some tools that we need to become more familiar with, and pick them up. I mean, an army needs weapons. Well, we don't. We've got some, but not in that sense. But we don't know what they are yet, and this is that grindy stuff. I've got to sit down and read all this stuff. Well, someone's got to do it because we've got to take all this knowledge and put it into the language that the guy at the pub goes, bloody hell, mate, I'm on for that.
We fight exactly with our mouths. We fight
absolutely,
with our
we do. We laugh at them. We tell jokes. We take the piss out of them. But also, at the same time, we're doing this now, and this is what we do, and this is our space, and this is our jurisdiction, our house, our nation, our rules. Who the hell are you? You're dressed up as a policeman. What's that? Oh, you work for if the sentences start to come, they're going to get even more confused because they are in a panic. I had a great call from Robin Hood this morning, and he wanted to do a show immediately. I said, well, we can't. I said, even if we did, we can't. We don't know how to alert enough people. Like right now, a thing that's missing is we don't have a promotions machine, and we need one. Right now on Telegram, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people here in this country that would tune into this if they knew that it was going on, or things like this. And people have got to. Anyway, I'm just going to carry on being slightly obnoxious from time to time about this sort of thing, but I sense that it's good.
Pick up, and it's a great day.
Go read Goebbels by David Irving and get inspired. I mean, I tell you, seriously, I'm not saying he's a good man, but when you look at the hurdles that they faced in Berlin and how he turned it round, you go, holy fuck! And it's it can be done, and it's done through communication, through letters, through crisp meetings, through everybody turning up on time. It's that stuff, it is.
Goebbels did a genius job in Berlin because he turned it round from a red light dump into a respectable area where ladies could walk along the street and feel safe.
He just cleaned it up, and it was nasty. There was fighting, there were deaths, there were men getting killed on the streets, and he had to sort of act in that way. And it's tragic, but it's almost as if until that sort of I don't know what it's going to take to really fully engage. We are nowhere near fully engaged, but people are beginning to think that they might have to. At least that thought, I think, is beginning to percolate through people and understand all this stuff. The thing that's happened in Spain, of course, is with all these people flooding in from a totally organised event to send a warning shot across the bows that will wreck all the European nations if you don't support this, that and the other. And the people that are in charge of that, it's all spies and assassins and poisoners, and most of the political leaders are bricking it because they can all be got to.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a security detail. Yeah, half the men on your security detail work for the other side. They know it as well. So it's all warped. It's a real going to be a right bun fight. It'll go down though. It will go down.
I agree. Evil can't last forever. And as Pink Planet says, 2/3 are angels, 1/3 are demons. So good will win. Let's hope so.
Yeah, I think it's about that.
I
think that's a pretty good. I like that. That's good.
I like that. And on that
the
note,
thing you got to remember is what we do on here is also very positive. And I know we talk a lot about the old days and like trains and analog stuff, but everybody, a lot of people in the audience seem to be on board with that, and I think a lot of people would prefer to go back to that. And I suppose, it's the radio show that we've got here is really good, and it's positive, and it's
comforting.
On board and getting people.
It's comforting as well.
People enjoy what we talk about. I'd like to think they do. I mean, they haven't all run off, so I presume they must do. Unless they're all deaf, obviously that might be. Maybe that's why.
Well,
I think it's got. You know why as well, Paul. I think people do. I think it's like Eric has kind of touched on it. I've mentioned it a few times. No doubt you that we are literally in a pub just having a much more interesting chat than football, and at that tone, that level, I think it's really valuable because we've got to communicate in a way that's accessible to more people. It's not because of lack of knowledge around it. Over and over again. I mean, I've just picked up about 3 or 4 books. I thought I hadn't read anything for about a month. I thought, shit, I need to, because when I read, I actually string ideas. It improves me, and my brain works in a different way. But you can't forget that this doesn't translate very well to the layman yet. Just yet. Not now, but it's getting there. And I just think simply, we can't make it simple enough. It's just, you just cannot make it. Eric, were you mentioning that thing about that Lord Kitchener advert the other day? I don't know if it was you
right.
or...
That's right. It's one, although I don't agree with it, I think it was one of the most perfect memes ever.
4
your
words.
Country
Your
needs you.
Needs you.
And
4 words.
the other one,
that's how we've got to sell this.
I'll tell you another one.
Yeah.
Dave Starbucks one. Had enough yet? That's 3 words. Just says, had enough yet? ?
Yeah. Well, we'll use them. They've got to be, it's like memes on steroids. It's absolutely what's needed.
Memes. People, the old adage, I mean, when I was studying architecture, we had to do graphic design. And what they said is, right, throw something to the floor, and within, I think it's either 3 or 5 seconds, you've got to know what that's about. And if you don't know what it's about, if you look any further than 5 seconds, then it's crap. So you've got to think up a meme that's literally 5 seconds. You look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It slaps you in the face.
You've got to bang. That's it. And Kitchener's one. And have you had enough yet? 3 words, 4 words, to the point. Absolutely fantastic. And we need something like that to go round, a meme. And we've got very, very clever people in chat. I'm very proud of people in chat and very polite people. I'm sure we can come up with something. And I feel that we've got skills, which is being shown in chat, that people got individual skills that we're going to dig ourselves out of this pit using our brains. And I'm sure we are. So I'm optimistic.
We're English. Good grief. We've got our cousins to the north, and the Scots, and the Welsh to the west, and our kith and kin over in Ireland. These nations, not United Kingdom, not the British, not all this shit that they've dumped on us. If we reclaim these things, it's like having an identity. I just love the white dragon flag on the red background. Bang! That's just a bang.
Well, that could be our logo. And I think there must be loads and loads of printing machines. You see, I believe the underground press will come back because there's so many restrictions on the internet, and they're tightening the ratchet even more, that the old ways will come back. People now are going back to dumb phones, and Nokia are selling dumb phones like they're going out of like hot cakes. But I actually do believe that there must be loads of old Heidelbergs and printing machines around.
I've always
gathering
wanted a
dust.
Heidelberg because I just love the word. Have you seen my Heidelberg?
Oh, it's a
I
look.
need some cream for that.
Oh, have you ever seen a Heidelberg in full pelt doing books? I have. Bloody no! It's good. They're German, obviously, and they're precision built Heidelbergs, and they were the best printing machines ever. But
Well, there used to be this massive industrial printer up near me when I was a kid in Leeds, and the side of the building was glass, right? So when we drove past, you could see them all whirring and going, huge bits of metal and all these drums flying around. It just blew my mind when I was like 8 or 9. I couldn't believe that men could build that. I didn't even know what it was. It was just the size of it and the speed of it and everything, and it was like, wow,
But
it's impressive.
But what about those small printers? Because in the Exchange and Mart, which we used to call Strain and Fart, which is long gone now, in the Strain and Fart, there used to be loads and loads of adverts for printing machines. A Dyer or something, and there must be quite a few that you just sit it down and just go and just print out flyers and things like that, because I think this is what we need, an underground press. I really do, because it's very difficult to trace an underground press where they come from, and look how powerful the that underground press in the First World War was. Incredibly powerful. The British authorities were terrified of it because they were taking the piss out of the senior people, and they're doing it very well as well. And all it was a group of blokes came across an abandoned barn with a printing press in it, and a couple of blokes were printers, and they knew what this press was. So they started to do a newspaper that would be passed around the trenches, and it was called, was it the Eepes Times? And I've got copies of it. And it's bloody funny, really funny. Anyway, on that note, I don't know about you, but I'm absolutely knackered. And
me too.
And
absolutely.
Thank you so
I'm going to go.
For coming to the show. And
fantastic.
Remember,
I enjoyed it. It's lovely.
Thumbs up, and please consider subscribing. Also, fancy if you're a bit generous, buy me a coffee's down below here and things like that. So whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh. And tune in to Paul English Live on Food for Thought Radio or Rumble this Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And whatever happens, have a bloody good